Chapter 1001, Yamato's Sudden Enlightenment, the Disbanded Marineford. Yamato felt that she had discovered a blind spot. When she hadn't grown up, Kaido's strength was far behind hers, so no matter how hard she tried, she was always beaten. There was nothing she could do about it. With the accumulation of time, Yamato's strength gradually increased. At this time, he was already a strong man at the same level as Kaido, but there was also a gap in strength at the same level. In the level of monsters, Kaido means the ceiling. Yamato still has a long way to go to catch up with Kaido, but just now, she realized it. She is getting stronger, and Kaido is not standing still. He is also constantly working towards a stronger level, but because he has gradually reached a bottleneck, Kaido's speed is also gradually slowing down. If this continues, she will catch up with Kaido sooner or later. But Arceus has become an uncontrollable unexpected factor. The power he gives is enough for a person to achieve a qualitative change, and the stronger the person gets the power of Arceus, the stronger the performance will be. Kaido is undoubtedly such an example. If she continues to strengthen like this, her dream of overthrowing her father will become a dream. She clearly heard Kaido's words, "This is for my silly daughter." At this moment, she wanted to burn some incense for Whitebeard. Without this old man, she might have to take over Kaido's Mahajun and Dragon God Bagua for no reason. The root of all this is Arceus, and she really wants to eliminate this problem from the root. Although Arceus acquiesced to Kaido's training, she really couldn't handle this enhancement. Don't think of such crooked ways. You have everything your father has, and even more. But he has lived longer than you after all. Whether you can make up for the time difference depends on yourself. Work harder. The power in your body is one of the few powerful forces. Maybe you should change the way you grow. This kind of growth doesn't seem to improve your heart. If it doesn't work, why don't you come, Godfather? Don't let that old man interfere. His training is really deadly. If he has to train, Yamato would rather let Arceus come. Even if he gets beaten, it's a completely different experience. Don't worry, you won't die. Although I don't like your father's methods, they are indeed effective. No one participated in the conversation between Yamato and Arceus. More people were watching the disappearing Whitebeard. The end of the world's strongest man brought them a great shock. That was the young Whitebeard. Although the scar on Kaido's chest was hideous and terrifying, he won after all. Kaido proved his strength again by being able to kill Whitebeard, who was in his peak state and even broke through himself in the end. And among this group of people, there is another person who has his own little thoughts. Louder, louder. You guys should look over here, Miss Yamato has said it. Aren't you curious about the truth? Quin's heart was roaring. Yamato's voice just now was not loud, and only people nearby could hear it, but he still had a hope. What if the Navy heard it? In this way, he can get rid of his black pot. Although these pots make him famous, the price of this reputation is too high. If possible, he doesn't want this kind of thing. Unfortunately, Yamato is still not excited enough. If she is more excited, someone might hear it. Speaking of which, Lord Arceus has used his power to this extent. There will be no one who will blame me. No, if those lunatics, maybe they will think that it is a super weapon? Thinking in this way, Quin fell into worry again, but no one cared about him. Whitebeard died, but Kaido was still alive, and the war outside was still going on, especially Whitebeard's last words, which made the already failed war even worse. Kaido, it's time to end. How long do you want to stand? Hehe, remember the old opponent, there is one less guy worth fighting, so Navy, does anyone want to fight again? Whitebeard's battle made him very happy, and many things had been thrown behind Kaido. If the Navy wanted to fight him again now, he would never refuse. Kaido's provocative eyes made many Navy glare, but they were shocked by his terrifying strength. For a while, they just looked at him with their eyes and did not make any new actions. Even Akainu was not impulsive at this time. He hated pirates, but he was not brainless. In addition to Kaido, there were far more than one person who could pose a threat. The war is over after a long time, Sengoku said with difficulty that the war was over, bringing the war to an end. Even though Sengoku's voice was broadcast throughout Marineford, the war did not stop immediately. In the end, it was only under the scolding of countless generals that the soldiers who were bloodthirsty stopped and started medical work to rescue the wounded. Law, who should have appeared in Marineford in the original timeline, encountered an accident halfway. His polar diver first encountered a terrifying tsunami like a natural disaster, and then was frozen by a strong cold current. The continuous accidents almost capsized him and he finally missed the opportunity to come to the scene. After Sengoku's armistice order was issued, Kaido picked up Whitebeard's broken Kusukamokuri. At the end of the battle, Whitebeard maintained a state of strong shock, which was a heavy burden on himself and his weapons. After being hit by the dragon god Bagua, his body was overwhelmed and dissipated in the sky. Kusukamokuri also ended his life and followed his master away. The broken handle became the only relic. Keep your father's belongings. Newgate left a very wonderful last words. I believe the future will be more interesting. As for his death, I welcome you to seek revenge on me. If you are ready to die, then come. Putting the broken Kusukamoki in front of Marco, Kaido turned into a blue dragon again. The Origin and the beasts beside him all left Marineford under the influence of Kaido's flame cloud, but Arceus seemed to say something in mid-air, so Kaido changed direction. The rest of Marineford left here under the leadership of Red Hair and returned to the New World. Luffy also left here with the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates and headed towards the Sabaody archipelago. But the impact of the war did not end. Whitebeard's last words gave reporters another headline and caused a new uproar on the sea. The finishing work of the navy was very complicated. Marineford was destroyed, the navy headquarters became a ruin, and even the island was torn apart. If they wanted to rebuild the fortress here, they would have to reclaim land at least once. As the admiral of the navy, Sengoku did not take charge of the overall situation at this time, but came to Marijoa, the 5 elders. Waiting for him in the conference room. Zhanguo, do you have anything to say about this war? No, isn't it your intention to finally cease fire? Yes, the ceasefire is our intention, and there is no problem with you implementing the ceasefire, but we did not ask you to use Marineford as a ring to let Kaido and Whitebeard fight at will. The 5 elders looked unhappy. Whitebeard's words had a devastating impact on the sea. Chapter 1002, Whoever wants to be the marshal can be the marshal, I quit. Now the news has not spread, but the 5 elders can think of what kind of impact that sentence will have. At the beginning, Roger's last words set off the Great Pirate Era, and countless powerful pirates appeared on the sea. After so many years, under the deterrence of the 4 emperors, this momentum has temporarily slowed down. But Whitebeard's last words are just throwing a bucket of gasoline into the fire pit. The pirates believe in Whitebeard's faith and don't think that Whitebeard will lie. They can foresee what the sea will become in the future. Then why don't you take action? Sengoku, do you know what you are saying? I know very well that Whitebeard, Kaido, and Red Hair are all concentrated in Marineford at the same time, and you are asking for a ceasefire. What else can we do? And you arranged the last attack, right? Half of the casualties of the Navy's grassroots soldiers were caused by the aftermath of this attack. Shouldn't you also reflect on this? The position of the Navy Admiral looks glamorous, but whoever sits in it knows that there are a lot of thorny Navy under his command. The strong ones are full of personality, and there will always be problems when executing orders. There are also the unlucky celestial dragons and the 5 elders who are pointing fingers, making him, the Navy Admiral, suffer from both ends. Zeph died, Marineford was destroyed, the soldiers were seriously injured, the Flying Dragon troops were completely wiped out, and the pacifist troops lost more than half. Aren't these all because of your decisions? Forcing the war at an inappropriate time, isn't this the result? For the war on the top, Sengoku has always been an opponent. He didn't continue to endure being accused of this. I am responsible for the failure of the Navy. I will resign from the post of Admiral of the Navy. As for the candidate for the new Admiral, I recommend Kyuzan. Zhanguo originally came here to resign. On the one hand, the failure of the Navy needs one person to be responsible. On the other hand, he doesn't want to be angry. He wants to learn from Garp and directly give up the post. Whoever wants to be the Admiral can do it. Anyway, he is not going to do it. Zhanguo's series of words and resignation application actually hit back the words that the 5 elders did not say. If Zhanguo continued to be the Admiral, they would have reason to condemn him, but Zhanguo directly expressed his resignation, which made them lose the reason to reprimand him. But it is impossible for them to admit their mistakes. Anyway, no matter what, the 5 elders themselves will not be wrong, unless Yin Mu said they were wrong. Looking at Zhanguo's resignation, the 5 elders did not admit it, but they still slowed down their tone and started a new topic. People like Zhanguo are better off staying in the Navy. It will not be good for them if they are really forced into a corner. Sengoku, don't be so excited, but the candidate for the new marshal is still to be discussed, and you will still be in charge of the navy during this period. The failure of the war must have a person responsible, but the 5 elders didn't want to be so anxious, but Kuzan didn't meet their wishes. The situation in Marineford is not good, and the same is true in other areas. A large number of prisoners have escaped from Impel Down, and Judicial Island has also been attacked by unknown weapons. The world government is also in a difficult situation. Isn't this the result of the deal you agreed to? If it weren't for that guy Blackbeard, how could so many people escape from Impel Down? It has already happened, and we called you here to explore how to deal with this matter. I have asked Magellan to summarize the information of the escaped prisoners, and a new reward will be issued soon. No, we can't issue a reward. If the public knows that so many prisoners have escaped, where is our face? Once so many dangerous prisoners are exposed, it will cause panic. Issuing a reward has always been the most direct and effective way, but the 5 elders directly rejected Sengoku's idea. They don't care about the lives of the people, they only worry about the face of the world government. Concealment will certainly bring misfortune to unprepared areas, but they would rather pay some casualties than cause mass panic. Not only can you not issue a reward, you can't arrest those people in a big way. This must be done secretly. Do you understand? Sengoku. Sengoku didn't want to agree to this request, but he had no choice. The navy couldn't disobey the orders issued by the world government. If they wanted to mobilize troops on a large scale, they couldn't do it without the orders of the world government, just like individuals like Garp could act arbitrarily. Even if Sengoku disagreed, the world government still had ways to restrict the actions of the navy. The number of people who escaped this time was too large. If they didn't mobilize heavy troops, it would be an extremely long task to catch them all back. In the past, he would still bite the bullet and say yes, but this time, Sengoku didn't give any response, just protested silently. That's it. Next is the issue of the beasts. There is no doubt that they are the biggest threat on the sea. That attack was indeed ours, but it was a pity that it didn't succeed. But it also made us understand one thing, the beasts are the ones who can really threaten us. A screen appeared in the conference room, and the scene of the war on the top was reproduced again, and it was fixed on the Origin and Arceus. Arceus, the vice-captain of the beasts' pirates, is the so-called god in their religion. Quinn still has an inseparable relationship with the source of the technology of the beasts, but it is certain that this person who calls himself a god has extremely terrifying strength. It is him who stopped our attack. They can still judge whether the attack was launched by the ship or the person, but their next words are enough to make Quinn collapse. When formulating the bounty of the beasts, it is better to count this part of the power on Quinn. Why? Do you want to admit that someone can use their own power to counter this kind of attack? Don't you know how serious a blow this will be to the morale of the future navy? Unlike before, Quinn's pot was unknown before, and the world government couldn't figure out what it was. This time they have the truth, but they don't want to tell it. Some things are destined not to be made public, such as Arceus's handwriting. If the enemy has some kind of terrifying weapon, there is still a way to check and balance it, but the enemy itself can achieve the power of annihilation, which will cause a devastating blow to morale. Unable to counter the terrifying individual, it is easy for people to lose the courage to resist. Even the current world government is unwilling to continue to provoke the beasts. Fortunately, Arceus does not take much action on weekdays, which makes the world government feel that there is still a chance to delay. Before Yin wakes up, they do not intend to have a new round of conflict with the beasts. Maintaining the status quo is their plan. Chapter 1003, 3 major institutions, none of them are spared. In addition, this is the video sent back from Judicial Island. The time is not long, but that thing you can see it yourself. The 3 major institutions of the world government are the Navy Headquarters, Judicial Island, and Impel Down. Now that the Navy Headquarters was destroyed in the war, the most serious jailbreak in history occurred in Impel Down, and Judicial Island, one of the 3 major institutions, was not spared. This is a formal institution of the world government. Although it is named after the judiciary, the island never talks about the law. As long as you are escorted to Judicial Island, no matter what you do, the final result is guilt. The screen switched to Judicial Island. Judging from the screen, there is no problem here for the time being. This happened when the war was not over yet. It was probably shortly after the Navy Headquarters experienced the tsunami. Come and see for yourself. As an important institution of the world government, Judicial Island has a complete video system that can record what happened on it, and this batch of videos just recorded the cause of the destruction of Judicial Island. Some time ago, after Arceus received Arceus's order to leave, he followed the warship and gradually approached Judicial Island. On the way, Arceus had been driving the opponent with the electromagnetic gun, but he never hit the warship. This is the biggest drawback of the electromagnetic gun, the low hit rate. In battle, it is usually necessary to cooperate with the locking skill to successfully hit the enemy. If you don't lock, Arceus may not be able to hit it even if he aims, not to mention that it doesn't want to hit it at all. But this also led to another embarrassing problem. After the electromagnetic cannon was fired, the user was not sure whether it could hit the target. When Arceus missed the target, he broke a mast of the warship and almost wiped them out. But they returned to Judicial Island safely. Beware! Something is following us. It's a very dangerous monster. The soldiers who returned to Judicial Island shouted anxiously. The soldiers in charge of guarding didn't know what happened, but seeing the panic of those people, they still pressed the switch in their hands. With the sound of machinery, the gate of justice began to close, and as the gate of justice closed, they also breathed a sigh of relief. Don't relax. Prepare heavy weapons quickly, that thing will fly. No, it should be floating, anyway, there is something wrong with that thing. The gate of justice is impossible for ordinary people to bypass, because the currents on both sides of the gate are reverse vortices caused by whirlpools, which prevent other ships from moving forward through the power of the sea itself. This is the limiting device of the triangular current, and it does not have walls or anything like that. It was simply impossible to build a fence around the entire whirlpool. Wang Duyu couldn't invest in this project. After Arceus left for a while, the whirlpool recovered, but it didn't work for Arceus. It floated over, and the restrictions of the sea current had no effect on it. Not long after the soldier finished speaking, Arceus had already floated over from the outside of the Gate of Justice and came directly to the Bridge of Hesitation on Judicial Island. This was the only way for the Judicial Island to escort prisoners, but Arceus, who invaded in the opposite direction, broke directly into the heart of Judicial Island. Seeing the enemy's flag also hanging on the Tower of Justice, Arceus knew that he had come to the right place. Regi. The light spots on his face flashed in turn. Arceus thought he had found the mastermind behind the scenes, and then he ruthlessly destroyed Judicial Island. Arceus did nothing at first. It just stood on the land of Judicial Island, and then the extreme cold overflowed from its body, and the ice began to spread on Judicial Island. The defenders here tried to bombard Arceus with artillery, but the exploding shells could not hurt Arceus' icy body at all. Whether it was the dog team riding on the Judicial Island or the guilty jury wielding a huge chain hammer, they all seemed very powerless in the face of Arceus. Winter. The iron ball of the guilty jury hit Arceus, but the cold current spread along the iron chain to the man's hand, turning it into an ice wither. And Arceus' arms also began to release freezing rays in all directions, instantly turning the Judicial Island into a snowy hell. Anyone who approaches Arceus will be mercilessly frozen by it. Looking at the tall ice block, the soldiers of Judicial Island became helpless. In the end, the two giants responsible for guarding the front gate were also sent over. They were once members of the giant pirates, but were deceived by the world government. Due to the duel, Don Li and Brokey lost contact. The world government seized this opportunity and lied to them that their leaders had been imprisoned by the government. As long as they worked for the world government for 100 years, they would release the two leaders. Under the deception of lies, the two giants became the gatekeepers of Judicial Island, responsible for guarding the gate. In order to get their leaders back, even if the opponent was an unknown creature, they picked up weapons and chose to fight, but it was useless, just adding two larger ice withers to the island. When Arceus left, there was nothing else on Judicial Island except ice. The unidentified object destroyed all the buildings on the island and almost razed Judicial Island to the ground. Moreover, it had a strong purpose. Both the two giants and ordinary soldiers were still alive after thawing. But the officials in the Tower of Justice were killed by its bombardment. According to intelligence, this thing is also directly related to the beasts. Of course, this matter should not be spread. If the news that the three major institutions were destroyed by pirates at the same time leaked out, the face of the world government would be completely lost. This video can be shown to the senior officials of the Navy, but there is no need to popularize it. Judicial Island and the Navy headquarters are two independent institutions. Impel Down is managed by the Navy most of the time, but Judicial Island is managed and controlled by the CP agency, so Sengoku did not know this news before. I understand. In addition, Blackbeard, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, died at the hands of Jin after betrayal. Gecko Mariah is missing and suspected of death. The vacancies of the 7 warlords of the sea are vacant. Fill them up as soon as possible. The positions of the 7 warlords of the sea cannot be vacant. You can report if there are suitable pirates. As for the loss of the navy, you don't have to worry. The world government will soon conduct a new round of large-scale conscription around the world. The vacancies will be filled as soon as possible, and the pension will be in place soon. In this regard, the world government never delays. They are very clear about the position of the navy on the sea. This organization plays an extremely important role in the rule of the world government. With the new order, Sengoku left Marijoa, and the new bounty order was spread across the sea with the news bird. In the Beasts Pirates, Arceus bounty surpassed Kaido for the first time. Chapter 1004, Exaggerated Bounty, Extra Thoughts and Deep Thoughts. President. Calm down, bring the sedatives quickly. At the headquarters of the World Economic News Agency, the reporters inside were in chaos again because their president had a new situation. Before the start of the war, Morgans fell into a state of madness because he had a premonition of the upcoming Grand War. He was too excited and couldn't sleep, so he took some sleeping pills. But after the start of the war, a series of big news kept coming to Morgan's ears. In order to stabilize Morgan's emotions, others gave him some sedatives. After the end of the war, more major events were known to Morgans. At this time, the side effects of sleeping pills and sedatives appeared at the same time, making it impossible for Morgans to concentrate on his work. He simply took some again. As the old saying goes, you can't take medicine randomly. After taking, Morgans saw more shocking news. As a result, his nerves were completely excited. If his brain is regarded as an independent world, then the cells inside are now dancing, or dancing after taking drugs. Can it be done? The president is like this because he took too much medicine. If he gets an injection. Otherwise, you can go talk to the president. Lie down. Da-da-da-da. The reporters instantly lay down. At the same time, a series of bullets pierced the glass, and the documents on the table flew everywhere. Morgans was laughing wildly and shooting at will with a Gatling gun. This is the headquarters of the news agency, but this world is too dangerous. As a reporter and one of the giants of the underground world, it is reasonable for Morgans to hide some arms here. And in this sea, if you want to be a reporter, you can't do it without some unique skills. Fighting, stealth tracking, disguise, you have to know something to get big news, so Morgans's men are also crouching tigers and hidden dragons. A reporter picked up the syringe of sedatives as a dart and shot it into Morgan's body, causing Morgans to stop his crazy behavior. Taking advantage of this time, other reporters hurriedly collected all the weapons that Morgans could touch, but in less than 3 minutes, Morgans stood up again. No way, that amount of sedatives can make even an elephant sleep for a day. Hey! Do you want to kill the president? What do you want to do with that amount of medicine? I'm just afraid that it won't work, and it looks like the amount is still small. Several reporters also rummaged through boxes and found a few ropes to control Morgans, but Morgans did not go crazy this time. Go prepare the manuscript for me. What are you doing standing here? President, are you okay? I'm big news, Morgans. I will definitely not fall down before I see this big news is announced, and I will work immediately. Wait, who punched the hole here? What if the photo is damaged? Morgans picked up his body. The file bag in front of him contained the prepared newspaper documents, but now there were several bullet holes on it. Morgans seemed to have forgotten what happened before, and turned to ask his reporters. Seeing that no one answered, he did not continue to struggle, but looked at the bounty in front of him and laughed strangely. The bounty of these guys is really special. Governor of the Beast Pirates, Kaido of the Beasts, bounty of 5.5111 billion Baileys. These dedicated photographers were not idle even during the war. Kaido's photo was replaced with the picture after his decisive battle with Whitebeard in the top war. At that time, he had a hideous scar on his chest, but the smile on his face could not be concealed. After defeating Whitebeard, Kaido's title as the strongest creature was completely established, and his bounty naturally exceeded that of Whitebeard before. Oni Yamato, bounty of 2.863 billion Baileys. The increase in Yamato's bounty is not particularly large. There is even a bonus factor of Kaido's daughter. Although she is Kaido's daughter, Yamato's style of doing things is not very harmful to the outside world. This is compared with other pirates. Compared with them, Yamato is simply a good baby. Flame Disaster Jin Bounty 2.3 billion Baileys. Flame Blood Shayna Bounty 1.9 billion Baileys. Because Jin has fought with the Navy a lot recently, the bounty has been increased several times in succession. Because of her own style of doing things, Shayna still hasn't caught up with Jin in terms of bounty. Demon Dragon Hydra Bounty 500 million Baileys. As Kaido's mount, the price of the 8-headed evil dragon has also risen. This is the first batch of bounties updated by the Navy. Other pirates are still waiting. Among these earliest bounties, there are 2 very special bounties. Plague Disaster Quinn Bounty 3.2 billion Baileys. This time he didn't take the blame. The world government saw some things clearly, but just put a hat on Quinn to influence the problem, so his bounty only increased by 500 million. This is not a small amount, but it is very friendly to Quinn. Of course, there are still bold characters on the bounty order only alive. It is not so easy for Quinn to take this honor. And below Quinn, Arceus's bounty order also broke the convention. Vice Captain of the Beast Pirates. Sky Punisher Arceus. Bounty -6.016 billion Baileys. Arceus bounty doubled directly on the spot, and directly exceeded Kaido's bounty. Even if the world government didn't want to admit it verbally, they knew how terrifying this monster was. It was against common sense to fight back the attack with one's own strength. Even the most chaotic ability in history didn't dare to say that it could do such a thing. Although they didn't point it out, they still used this method to remind the Navy below to be careful of the strength of this monster. In addition, they have an additional idea, hoping to use the bounty to cause conflicts within the beasts. There is an unspoken rule for bounties. The boss of a force must be the one with the highest bounty in the force, whether it is the Revolutionary Army, the Mafia, or the pirates. No matter how powerful the subordinates are, their bounties will not be higher than the bosses. In other words, a strong man will not be willing to work for a weak man, so the bounty of his subordinates cannot exceed that of his boss. The world government does not believe that there is no conflict between the 2 monsters of the beasts. Now that the bounty of the vice captain has become higher than that of the captain, there must be a problem. Even though they know it is unlikely, they still set this bounty with a try-and-see attitude. Maybe this will make some ordinary cotters of the beasts have crooked thoughts and stir up some anger. If the beasts can be divided because of this, it will undoubtedly be a good thing for the world government. Chapter 1005, Kaido's New Ambition. In addition to the update of Kaido's photos, Arceus photos have also been replaced. Those photographers who dare to be active on the battlefield can be said to be very bold. At this time, the photo of Arceus bounty order has been replaced with a photo of him standing on the bow to offset the attack. However, it was not taken during the offset, but the image left after the attack ended and the light curtain protecting the origin gradually dissipated. It's not that he didn't take the photo before, but that he didn't take it. While others were trying to find cover, the photographer was frantically pressing the shutter, but the equipment in his hand was not good. The photo was invisible under the strong light, just like without the lens cap, and it couldn't be used as a bounty order at all. In the end, this photo was selected as the new photo. Although it was blocked by the light curtain, people couldn't see what Arceus looked like, but the world government didn't take it seriously at all. Updating the bounty was their last insistence. The 5 elders never thought that any bounty hunter or pirate could deal with Arceus. If these people could really do this, the 5 of them wouldn't have to wait for Yin to wake up. The only one with a different style was Yamato. Her new photo happened to be a picture of her biting the ice spear made by Kyuzan into pieces and eating it as a snack, which made her look a little cute. Boss, the matching bounties have been compiled, but which one should be used for tomorrow's front page? News is time sensitive. If a piece of news is delayed for a few days before being released, it is no longer considered news. Usually, any one of these things would be considered big news, but now that they are put together, the editors of the newspaper don't know what to do. Which one should be used? Of course, use all of them. Let's just publish the journal this time. Each of these news deserves a separate page. I really don't know how to choose. Morgans looked at the news in his hand. In addition to the large number of serious criminals escaping from the infinite hell in the city of Impel Down, he has almost collected all the explosive points of this war, even including the news of the destruction of Judicial Island. As for where this news came from, well, Spondum sold it. Not all major events have reporters nearby. In order to collect more news information, Morgans has always given large bonuses to those who provide explosive news. Due to the death of 2 elite agents, Rob Lucci and Keiku, Spondum was also affected a lot. With Spondane's efforts, he was not dismissed and held accountable, but the economic situation became not optimistic. Regis' main purpose was not to kill, so Spondam survived by chance and sold the photos of Judicial Island to Morgans in exchange for a lot of rewards. Under Morgan's decision, the newsbirds worked a lot, because the thickness of the newspapers issued this time was 5 times that of usual, and their load-bearing capacity was limited. In order to deliver the newspapers, the newsbirds made many trips back and forth. And with the activities of the newsbirds and the efforts of newspapers in various places, the intelligence of the war at the top was also sent to all parts of the world. Whitebeard's last words: "One Piece is real. World's strongest, Kaido the Beast. The future master of the sea. Is the unknown weapon of the world government irresponsible for the lives of the people. Judicial Island destroyed." This time, Morgans did not use an exaggerated title, because just stating the facts is enough to attract the world's attention. Among them, the news of Judicial Island is a bit special, because Regius has not been rewarded, and the world government can't say what the iceberg is. They rewarded the 8-headed dragon because it is Kaido's mount, but facing something that is not sure whether it is a living thing, they really don't know how to reward it. After all, this thing is more like a weapon than a living thing. The world government will not give an additional reward to a weapon, such as Charlotte Linland's Zeus and Prometheus. This kind of reward will be aggregated to the owner. And the caliber of Judicial Island to the outside world is that it encountered an extremely cold air current that has not been seen in 800 years, so it became like this. In the Sabaody archipelago, on the Origin, a new bounty has arrived here with the newsbird. After leaving Marineford, the Origin went to the Judicial Island to pick up Regius. The icicle slate has also returned to Arceus' body, and Regius' power has also weakened a lot. When Regius has the icicle slate, it is equivalent to having an endless energy source, and he does not need to consider consumption when doing things. But with the return of the slate, Regius' battle will also consume its physical energy, but this will not affect his strength. Godfather, 6 billion, so strong, this is the highest bounty I have ever seen. Looking at Arceus' terrifying bounty, Yamato expressed his sincere admiration. Hehe, those guys' eyes finally worked for once, and they are taller than mine. It's really interesting. Kaido did not feel any dissatisfaction, but felt that the world government's brain finally worked for once. He didn't care about this kind of thing at all. After all, they were his own people, so it didn't matter if the bounty was a little higher. Moreover, Kaido now had a new idea. I said, that attack was not your full strength, right? No, what's wrong? I'm still too weak. I can't handle that kind of attack once or twice. Kaido recalled the previous attack and became very interested in its power. After beating Whitebeard, Kaido was even a little disappointed, because there were not many opponents stronger than Whitebeard in his prime in this sea. He had already defeated Whitebeard, which meant that it would be difficult for him to encounter stronger opponents in the future, but the attack in the sky gave Kaido a new target. That attack I have to find a way to fight it back. I'll take it as a new target in the future. Shaking his neck, Kaido made his decision. After you go back this time, you should come and train with me for a while. Others can't use that kind of attack. Wait. Father, you are already strong enough. You should rest for a while. Don't bother your godfather with this kind of thing, right? Listening to Kaido's words, Yamato's expression became extremely nervous. If Kaido also mastered that kind of attack, Yamato couldn't imagine what it would be like to be locked by an attack from the sky while traveling outside. Really? Maybe what you said makes some sense. It's not good to bother your godfather. Great. Then let's start with you. After returning to Onigashima, you will be your sparring partner for a month. What? Before Yamato finished speaking, Kaido pulled him back to hell. What? If you don't want to, then I still. No. Father, let me do it. Leave it to me. After thinking for a while, Yamato discovered a painful fact. If Arceus comes, assuming Kaido really breaks through himself, then she will definitely be in trouble, so she has to find a way to prevent this situation, such as going herself. Although this will be a month of tossing, it can guarantee the future. Damn, this old man is tricking me again. Yamato smiled after reacting, but he was thinking something else. Hehe, silly girl is really good, I said let her come, but I didn't say that Arceus won't come later. First fight Yamato for a month as a warm-up, and then fight Arceus, this is Kaido's idea. In terms of thinking, he is still one level ahead of Yamato. Chapter 1006, Changing Flags, the red-haired man affected. War fight, become stronger, find stronger people to fight, become stronger. Kaido has been repeating this process. He has been fighting since he was a soldier of the kingdom. From the first time he became a wanted criminal, to becoming a trainee on Rock's ship, to the current Emperor of the Sea, Kaido's goal has never stopped. The war on the top allowed him to see stronger weapons, and naturally he had more goals for the future. In order to make Yamato willing to be a sparring partner, he prepared this conspiracy for Yamato. Although Yamato saw through this conspiracy, he had no way to do it, and he never thought about Kaido's future thoughts. Uncle Quinn, why are you crying? Yamato gave up arguing with Kaido. It was meaningless anyway. If she took the initiative to fall into the trap, Arceus would not choose to save her. Instead, it was the tearful Quinn that attracted Yamato's attention. I am touched. The bastards of the world government finally acted like human beings this time. The bounty has only increased by 500 million. This amount is within Quinn's acceptable range, and the resurrection grass that restored Whitebeard's youth and blocked the attack of unknown moves were not placed on him. The attack was reported unclearly, and the issue of the resurrection grass became the business of the Beast Fruit Medical Department. The smoke bomb at the time did work. The genius medical team that did not exist at all successfully shared Quinn's pressure. Because he had been persecuted too much, the degree of persecution this time was a little lighter, which made Quinn feel a lot more comfortable. You are really easy to satisfy, this is enough to satisfy you. What are you talking about, you torturer? Oh, I understand, you are jealous that my bounty is higher than yours, right? Hee, Quinn, you'd better know where your bounty comes from. If you really don't accept it, I don't mind fighting with you. Looking at the cocky Quinn, he took out Yan Mo directly and blocked Quinn's mouth with force. The quarrels among his subordinates did not disturb Kaido's mood, and the Origin also began to dive after reaching the designated location. They were going to Fishman Island. Because they can fly and also have the ability to fly with ships, Kaido and Arceus rarely go to Fishman Island when they travel, but this time is different. Whitebeard's death is just the beginning, and there will be many chain reactions caused by territorial issues in the future. Before, due to Neptune's entanglement, Fishman Island has always hung the flag of Whitebeard, but now the times have changed. After Whitebeard's death, his deterrence plummeted. The dead Whitebeard did not have enough prestige to protect the island through the flag, so for Fishman Island, changing the flag became the only option. There is also good news for Fishman Island, that is, the pirate flag of the beasts is ready. Through Tiger's relationship and previous business dealings, Neptune is ready to change the flag. This time he just invited Kaido as the king, intending to let him participate in the banquet of Fishman Island to make a familiar face. After all, Neptune and Whitebeard have a better relationship than Kaido. When the war on the top occurred, Neptune also had enough understanding of the war through the message of the people of the beast mining. Although Whitebeard died at the hands of Kaido, it can be said that Whitebeard has no regrets. Moreover, as a king, he cannot mix too much personal feelings at the national level. It is the most favorable choice for Fishman Island to completely hang up the flag of the beasts. Under the influence of Arceus' power, the sea split to both sides, and a special water staircase appeared on the sea surface. The pirates of the beasts also went to Fishman Island smoothly. Coding is too time-consuming. Arceus and Kaido don't have 3 days to waste here, so Arceus directly used his own power. In the Sabayati archipelago, some people are waiting for coding, such as the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates. They gathered near the Sabayati archipelago, ready to return to the New World. It's just that they need coding. After all, they are not driving submarines, and even Shanks is no exception. Coding, a disposable thing, is sometimes very inconvenient. However, looking at the new bounty order, Shanks' expression is very complicated. He can understand that the beast's people raised the bounty. Kaido and his men turned the top war upside down. It would be strange if they didn't raise the bounty. The same is true for the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates. Although Whitebeard is dead, they still have some strength, and the increase in bounties has become inevitable. But Red Hair doesn't understand why his bounty has increased. The leader of the Red Hair pirates, Red Hair Shanks, 4.3489 billion berries. Strange, I didn't do anything. In a sense, Red Hair did not do anything, but his appearance was too coincidental. Appearing before the decisive battle between Whitebeard and Kaido was just like an agreement. And the beasts also listened to his proposal to end the war. There were rumors that Red Hair Shanks ran back and forth before, but no one knew what he did, and there were even rumors of the Three Emperors alliance. The world government now has some doubts that Red Hair and Kaido actually reached an agreement to make Whitebeard withdraw, which led to the increase in Shanks' bounty. Now that Whitebeard is dead, the sea is not qualified to fill this vacancy. Now even the 5 elders of the world government have begun to doubt Shanks' purpose. Letting the 4 emperors return to the 3 emperors is not a good thing for the order that the world government needs. Shanks, long time no see, you have become the emperor of the sea. When Red Hair was struggling, Rayleigh appeared behind him. Mr. Rayleigh? Do you still live here? Yes, I'm used to living here, and if I don't, I won't see these younger generations. Do you have any plans for them? No, Mr. Rayleigh. Luffy came to me before and hoped that I could train him, and I promised him. Rayleigh mentioned that not long after Luffy and his friends arrived at the Sabaody archipelago, Luffy saw the cruelty in the war and realized the insufficiency of his own strength. Not to mention Haki, even his physique and skills were far behind those of the pirates in the New World. He couldn't protect his companions, so he wanted to stay and practice. With the help of the Straw Hat, Rayleigh agreed to this matter and began his teaching work as a world-renowned mediocre teacher. I know, what about Ace? He hasn't gotten over it yet. Whitebeard's death has had a huge impact on him. Ace has been in a daze these days. Whitebeard's death has dealt him a heavy blow, especially what Marco said when he beat him, which is engraved in his body. Chapter 1007, Luffy and Ace, The Origin on Fishman Island. The remaining pirates of the Whitebeard Pirates are not all concentrated in the Sabaody archipelago. As the 4 emperors of the New World, at least a large pirate group that was once at the level of the 4 emperors, they have skilled coding craftsmen on their ships and can complete the coding themselves. And Sabaody is under the eyes of the Navy after all, and gathering too many people is not a good thing. It's just that the Navy is now overwhelmed by the situation on the sea. Whitebeard's final declaration is like a deep-sea bomb thrown into the sea, which has caused an uproar on the sea. In addition, the Navy has previously drawn elite troops from all over the world, and the elite generals have also been concentrated in the Navy headquarters. Some other places can't be taken care of, and now the Navy at the headquarters is frantically putting out fires. Knowing that Kaido and Red Hair might not have left yet, they did not want to provoke them at this time, and turned a blind eye to the people who stayed in the Sabaody archipelago, pretending not to see anything. Even the garrison in Sabaody hid back in the naval base, turning a deaf ear to everything happening in the outside world. And one of the parties involved in the war at the top, Fire Fist Ace, was sitting lonely on the beach at this time. Mr. Rayleigh, aren't you going to say something? He is Captain Roger's son after all. There's nothing much to say. Some things have to come out by themselves, and isn't his brother there? But aren't you going to see the boy who asked you to deliver the straw hat? I've seen it, at least now he understands that the New World is too early for him. Really? By the way, where's Buggy? I saw he also appeared in the top war. I did invite him, but he said he had his own goals, so we parted ways after leaving Marineford. Shanks and Rayleigh just watched the 2 brothers from a distance, and did not disturb their getting along, but talked about some things in the past. The previous encounter only let Luffy see the tip of the iceberg of strength, and the top war made him know how cruel the world is. Starting from the city of Impel Down, he encountered countless powerful enemies. The general officers on the battlefield can pose a great threat to him. If he enters the New World like this, it will be no different from committing suicide. Therefore, Luffy understands that they need to practice. Now there is another problem, which is how to inform the companions who were slapped by the bear. Luffy couldn't think of a solution for a while, so he gave this task to Hilo, and he went to talk to Ace. Dad. Looking at the sea in front of him, Ace's heart was not calm. Except for Marco, who lectured him in Marineford, the other members of the Whitebeard Pirates didn't say much, but Ace could see that they still had negative emotions about it. When Ace was captured, the members of the Whitebeard Pirates were willing to risk their lives to save him, but after Ace was rescued, they also had complaints about Ace, who caused the outbreak of the war. This attitude is not contradictory. To save him, he is a family member and a member of the Whitebeard Pirates. It is also because of his impulse that he has led to the current consequences. Therefore, there are not many people in the Whitebeard Pirates who come to comfort Ace, and many people themselves don't know what attitude to use to face Ace. Although it was Blackbeard who caused this, Ace, who was determined to kill Blackbeard, was also responsible, and Ace himself could not forgive himself, not to mention others. Ace, in fact, when Uncle Whitebeard died, he was very happy. Luffy, what are you talking about? I want to say Uncle Whitebeard left without regrets, his laughter was from the heart. He wanted to save you, and finally saved you, and he was very happy to fight with the man named Kaido. I am not good at this kind of thing. As he spoke, Luffy rubbed his head with a headache. It was really difficult for him to comfort others. In short, wasn't Uncle Whitebeard's last order for you all to live? Then isn't it your way of repaying Uncle Whitebeard if you live well? Really, is it your turn to teach me a lesson? Ace could see that Luffy had put a lot of thought into sorting out these words, and he understood the truth of what Luffy said, but some things can't be let go just by understanding. Speaking of which, Luffy, when you finish your training, do you want to join us? After thinking for a long time, Ace suddenly said this to Luffy. Ah? What did you say? I mean to join the Whitebeard pirates. But Uncle Whitebeard has. Dad is gone, but the Whitebeard pirates are still there. This is the family that my father cares about most. I want to maintain it, if everyone is still willing to accept me. I will, but I still won't join you. I have my own journey and my own goals. While the remnants of Whitebeard were still waiting in the Sabayati archipelago, the people of the beasts had already arrived at Fishman Island. The way of dividing the sea is much more convenient than coding, and there is no need to worry about the crisis under the sea. The origin followed the waterway opened by Arceus to Fishman Island. Godfather, it seems that this is your first time to Fishman Island. With the light provided by Yangshu Eve, Yamato admired the scenery of the seabed, but suddenly remembered something. Arceus seemed to have never been to the seabed. It's the first time. I'm not very interested in underwater. With the ability of electromagnetic floating, Arceus always takes the boat to fly directly across the Red Earth continent when he goes out, which is much more convenient than diving. In fact, not only Arceus, but even Kaido has not been underwater for a long time. Since he became a capable person, he has relied on Flame Cloud to fly for everything. If it weren't for the strategic location of Fishman Island and the significance of the existence of the Fishman tribe, plus the fact that there is an ancient weapon on Fishman Island, and it's convenient for them to go after the war, Kaido might not accept Neptune's invitation. For such a matter, it would be enough to send a cotter at random. They are just the kings of a country. Facing the Sea Emperor of the New World, they are really nothing. For most kingdoms, only one Shishibukai is enough to change its fate. Compared with the relaxation of the beast's pirates, Neptune is much more nervous. He didn't even let his son greet them, but came to the entrance of Fishman Island in person to wait. Now they have business dealings with beasts, but this does not mean that they can maintain a proper relationship in the future. With the environment of Fishman Island, without the protection of the four emperors' flags, the impact will be almost devastating. What a shocking appearance! Looking at the sea that separated outside Fishman Island, Neptune's heart became nervous again. Don't be so nervous, that's the master's handwriting, the master has always been very easygoing. On Neptune's shoulder, Manafi patted his shoulder and signaled him to relax. Chapter 1008, Do you recognize this flag? Manafi, who has been staying in the deep sea for a long time, also received an invitation from Neptune. Because he is very familiar with Shirahoshi and has a good relationship with this family, he can sit on Neptune's shoulder. Both Neptune and Otohime know very well how terrifying power is hidden in Manafi's seemingly small body. That ability is comparable to that of the Sea King, and even the Sea King will give it a face. At the same time, Tiger and Jinbei also came here. When the war ended, Jinbei left there, and Tiger had been in Fishman Island for a long time. In the days without Jinbei, he was responsible for protecting the safety of Fishman Island, and the new Fishman Island was entrusted to Manderfesh and Nereus. At this time, Jinbei and Tiger were also waiting here as accompanying personnel. King Neptune, don't worry, there won't be any accidents, the Lord won't interfere in such matters. Even when we were flying Whitebeard's flag, the beasts provided us with protection, not to mention now. I hope so. In fact, Neptune thought more. He and Whitebeard were friends. The reason why Fishman Island got Whitebeard's flag in the first place was because of this relationship. Whitebeard died at the hands of Kaido in the duel. This was also the choice made by Whitebeard. Neptune couldn't say anything, but Whitebeard's last declaration made Neptune feel complicated. That sentence will inevitably lead to more pirates on the sea, and the increase in the number of pirates will have an impact on Fishman Island. He can guess that Whitebeard has some special ideas. From a personal perspective, he can understand Whitebeard, but from the perspective of the king, he can't accept it. Here it comes. Manaphy suddenly said to himself, then left Neptune's shoulder, took out a bubble coral, and flew towards the origin. My lord, long time no see, strange, it's a bit cold on the ship. Manaphy suddenly felt a chill when she arrived on the origin, and then she saw Regius in a semi-dormant state. After returning to the origin, Regius became tired and found a corner to play the iceberg simulation. Most of the cold air was taken back into its body, but even so, Regius was a large air conditioner. Yamato didn't care about it, but Page 1 and Ulti were different. Their body instincts made the siblings come to the farthest place of Regius. For example, Page 1 was observing the deep-sea fish at the stern, and seemed to be thinking about the chance of fishing. Ulti came to the cabin to rest. They didn't return to the bow until Manaphy boarded the origin. Long time no see, Manaphy, does Neptune have any other ideas? No, he is just worried about the future of Fishman Island, so he held a banquet and wanted to get the flag done as soon as possible. He is still a responsible king. My lord, please come this way, Neptune has been waiting for a long time. Under the guidance of Manaphy, Arceus and his party followed Neptune to Ryugu Castle. In the banquet hall of Ryugu Castle, Otohime had already been waiting here with her children. Kaido didn't care about the mess, but just set his sights on the strong liquor brewed by Fishman Island. The wine born in the deep sea has a very special smell, and the process is not complicated. After drinking, Kaido quickly promised to lend the flag. And the kingdom of Ryugu had already prepared Kaido's flag. Drawing a pirate flag is not as difficult. As long as the painter has all his limbs, it only takes a few minutes to draw a pirate flag, but hoisting a pirate flag requires the recognition of others. If you rashly use someone else's flag without getting a reply, you will face the revenge of the flag owner afterwards. And Neptune also talked about other things. In addition to the original mining share, Fishman Island can also provide desserts, which is also a specialty of our Fishman Island and has a good sales volume in the market. The islands that hoist the flags are the vassal states of the Sea Emperors. They have to pay tribute every year to get asylum, but the beasts don't care much about desserts. They are not Charlotte Linlin, who has a mysterious obsession with eating. The Fishman Mining Company is the benefit for the beasts to lend the flag. But the beasts did not refuse the tribute from the Fishman Island, but did not ask the Fishman Island to expand the food processing plant like Charlotte Linlin did. It was enough for them to keep it as it was. In the Dragon Palace, the mermaid dancer showed her graceful figure and danced gracefully in the hall. Quinn on the side was completely fascinated. Kaido was destroying the wine inventory of Fishman Island. Half of the strong liquor at this banquet was consumed by Kaido. While there was singing and dancing here, the left and right ministers of the Dragon Palace Kingdom had already come to the entrance with the pirate flag of the beasts. Be careful. Put away the Whitebeard's flag first. After all, the flag provided a long-term shelter for Fishman Island. Although Whitebeard was dead, they decided to change the flag for the safety of Fishman Island, but the kindness was not forgotten. So the people of Fishman Island still put it away solemnly. But before they could hang up the flag of the beasts, a new group of uninvited guests came to Fishman Island. Some members of the pirates who had just entered Fishman Island suddenly attacked and wanted to attack the residents of Fishman Island. This is the purpose of their coming here. After hearing the news of Whitebeard's death, many pirates have set their sights on Whitebeard's original territory. There are also many people who have set their sights on Fishman Island. Scarcity makes things valuable. Mermaids have been extinct on the market for many years. If they can take this opportunity to catch a few mermaids and auction them, they don't have to worry about their future economic problems. However, the right minister of Kaiba and the Sea King army stopped them in time, causing the two sides to fall into a confrontation. Now the people with higher military power in Fishman Island are having a banquet in Ryugu City, and only ordinary Sea King army are left outside, so the right minister did not act rashly. Human, do you know what you are doing? The right minister walked to the front and angrily questioned the pirates in front of him. What? Of course, we're going to capture slaves. Whitebeard is dead. That human traitor can no longer protect you. Benefits can drive people to do crazy things. The price of mermaids has always been high, especially since Fishman Island has undergone tremendous changes in recent years. There have been no cases of mermaids being abducted for several consecutive years. The incident with Cammy doesn't count. The process of her abduction was really too outrageous. Whitebeard's flag made many people afraid to act rashly. Now that the news of Whitebeard's death came, these people naturally rekindled their greed. You are a seahorse, right? Although you are a man, you are also a new species. You should be able to sell for a high price. Forget about that catfish. Normal people are not interested in this kind of mermaid. Looking at the dark-faced catfish mermaid left minister, the leading pirate showed a look of disgust. The riot here also attracted the attention of other pirates nearby. Some people began to move, but in less than a minute, their attitudes changed. The disdained left minister was not angry, but just silently picked up the things behind him and inserted them in the original position. Given the general environment, due to the special environment, there will be wind in Fishman Island. Since the wind here is closely related to the yang tree, it is generally called tree wind. At this time, under the blowing of the tree wind, the flag of the beast pirate map fluttered in the wind, and the new skull flag also showed its ferocious smile. I'm really sorry for being a catfish mermaid, but you should know this flag, right? The left minister sorted out his clothes and pointed at the new flag, showing a more arrogant look. I'm really sorry, there are still many people willing to provide us with shelter. Not all humans are like you, with such a dirty heart. Hundred beasts. Chapter 1009, such a good opportunity, of course I will step on your corpses to get to the top. Whitebeard's flag failed to stop the human trafficking in Fishman Island, but it frightened many villains. Many people were afraid of Whitebeard's strength, so they gave up the idea in their hearts. Money can make people's hearts move, but they have to live to spend it. Although when Whitebeard was alive, there were still people who violated Whitebeard's bottom line driven by interests and ambitions, but most of them became honest. Until today when Whitebeard died, they dared to really jump out. But as soon as their ambitions emerged, they were poured with a basin of cold water. It is true that Whitebeard died, and Fishman Island lost his protection, but in the blink of an eye, Fishman Island hung the banner of the beasts. And with Buggy's efforts, a large number of precious pictures were circulated in the war on the top. Kaido used his strength to prove himself in front of reporters all over the world. Even the young Whitebeard was no longer his in the death battle opponent. More importantly, compared to the last strongest man, Kaido, the strongest creature, has a much more violent style of behavior. If you offend him, the consequences will be even worse than offending Whitebeard. Captain, what should I do? They did nothing, but just a flag made these people hesitate. They knew the horror of the four emperors, so Whitebeard did not dare to invade here when he was alive. It is precisely because they know how terrifying pirates at this level are that they become timid. It's fake, it must be fake. It's not long after the end of the war on the top. How could Fishman Island get in touch with the beasts so quickly? This is impossible, absolutely impossible. The leading pirate repeatedly denied the words of the catfish left minister. It is better to say that he is deceiving himself than persuading others. Don't joke, you stinky fishman, how can you get in touch with so many monsters? Boss, that ship seems to be the ship of the beasts. When a pirate group becomes famous, not only their members, but also their ships will become more eye-catching. Although the Beast King is Kaido's ship, he is rarely seen on that ship. Kaido relies on his own abilities to fly around most of the time, and only in a few cases will he travel by ship. Today, the Beast King is more of a transport ship. Seeing it in the New World means that the reinforcements of the beasts have arrived. Although Arceus' actions are relatively secretive, the Origin also made a splash during the war at the top. Now this ship has become an iconic ship like Whitebeard's Moby Dick. Everyone on the ship was participating in the banquet in Ryugu City, so the ship naturally stopped in the harbor of Fishman Island. The pirates didn't pay attention to the ship just now, until the left minister hung up the flag of the beasts, and they knew why the ship appeared in Fishman Island. The hanging flag, the ship of the beasts, what does it mean that these two things appear at the same time in Fishman Island? Needless to say, the leading pirate has already had a very ominous premonition. The only good news is that they haven't taken action yet. Their actions just now were just talk. In a sense, they still have time to save the situation. Actually, this is just a joke. This is one of our programs. The ocean is too dangerous now. For the safety of Fishman Island, we hope you can have more sense of crisis, so we say this. As arrogant as he was just now, he is as humble now. The pirate leader is smiling at this moment, hoping to get over this matter. Unfortunately, reality is always extremely cruel. Boss. We have caught a few mermaids. Why are you still here? This was their plan before entering Fishman Island. After landing, they will split into two groups. As the captain, he will lead some people to attract the attention of the guards of Fishman Island, while other subordinates will go to the island to capture mermaids. Now it seems that the plan has succeeded, but it has succeeded at the wrong time. For the first time, this pirate leader is disgusted with the high efficiency of his subordinates. And they encountered more troubles. Because they have mermaids in their hands, the Sea King army just surrounded them, but other pirates also targeted them. There were more than one pirate group that landed on Fishman Island, and they all had various purposes, but no action was taken. Now that they were the first to come forward, they gave other pirates an opportunity to take advantage of the situation. The pirates watching the excitement around them all took out their weapons, with dangerous eyes. What are you going to do? What? I can't stand you guys, so I want to kill you. That's right, it's a shame to arrive at Shampoo at the same time as you scum. The matter could no longer be smoothed over, so the pirate leader returned to his true nature. Don't pretend to be noble. Didn't you guys come here with this purpose too? Looking at the captains of the two pirate groups next to him with a righteous look, the pirate who was already standing on the cusp of the storm immediately exposed their old bottom. Don't think I don't know what you two are thinking. Want to step on me to join the beasts? Don't dream. The beasts don't look down on trash like you. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a newcomer like you. The pirates who wanted to attack him were also newcomers this year, but under the cover of the aura of the worst generation, the Navy and the world government paid very little attention to them. In the eyes of the Navy, such pirates will become cannon fodder in a short time after entering the New World. The pirate who wanted to kidnap the mermaid was different. He had been in the Grand Line for a while. When he entered the New World, he was broken by the cruelty of the New World and fled back to the first half of the Grand Line. Therefore, he knew the strictness of the beast's recruitment of subordinates. People like this who have no ability and no principles in doing things can't even pass the recruitment audition of the beasts. I advise you two not to have such crooked thoughts. While there are no beasts here, rush out with me. This way you can still get a share of the pie. This is the most beneficial thing for you. After the Battle of Marineford, the name of beasts became well known, and the number of pirates who wanted to join them also began to increase sharply. The two stood up at this time, and the pirate leader could of course guess what they wanted to do. It's nothing more than trying to please beasts by himself, so as to obtain the qualification to fly the beast's flag. He is not afraid of such pirates, but he doesn't want to be entangled here. As long as he runs far enough, beasts may not be able to find him, but if he is dragged here, he will really be finished. Just when beasts took over Fishman Island, he kidnapped the mermaid here. If he is caught, he will definitely use the head establishes authority. Don't treat us as fools. We don't know whether you will share the money, but if we catch you, the people of the beasts will not kill us, right? At worst, we can use you to exchange for money. Yet, do you still want to drag us down? Compared with a coward who dares not enter the New World and the Emperor of the Sea, you are obviously easier to deal with. There are also smart ones among the pirates. These two newcomers are the type that are not easy to deal with. Seeing that his deception has no effect, the Right Minister of Kaiba also secretly said something to the soldiers around him, and the pirate leader also made plans to break the jar. Take those mermaids as hostages. Fight your way out. Give up that idea. This is the deep sea. You can't escape from here. Let our citizens go first. We can discuss other things. Bah. You also said that this is the deep sea. When I return to the surface, I will naturally let these people go. Now get out of my way. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Due to the hostages, the Sea King army really couldn't act for a while. The main reason was that Fishman Island didn't expect that someone would be unable to stand loneliness so soon. People like Jinbei and Tiger who are powerful enough to solve the problem are in Ryugu Castle. Even if the Right Minister ordered the soldiers to make a phone call, it would take some time for them to arrive. They were not sure that they could rescue the hostages from the hands of those pirates. In order to ensure the safety of the hostages, the Sea King army also knew to make concessions temporarily. The two pirate groups didn't have so many concerns, but they were no match for this pirate leader. Although he was scared away by the New World, he also survived for a long time in the first half and was considered a pirate with some skills. He easily solved the two pirates whose bounties were only about 30 million. Seeing that the troublemakers had been solved and the people of Fishman Island were afraid to act rashly, he felt that he would be safe soon, but at this moment, a new voice sounded in his ears. Give up, you will not succeed today. On the reef nearby, Hawkins was sitting on it, fiddling with his tarot cards, and divination of the fate of the pirate leader. Unfortunately, the probability of you seeing the sun on the sea again is 0. Before in the Sabayati archipelago, Hawkins was shocked by the unforeseen fate, and then led his men to the New World. But when he arrived at Fishman Island, he chose to stay here, because the result of divination told him that it would be easier to achieve his goal if he stayed here, so Hawkins did not go to the New World immediately, but stayed in Fishman Island for a while. The reason for his going to sea was simple. The result of divination told him that going to sea was the best choice. In Hawkins' view, people who can even distort fate will definitely be the winners of the times. At that moment, he had a new idea. At this time, he found his own opportunity. The success rate is 78.6%. Can you please surrender? You have no future. To be precise, you have a 98% chance of ruining your last chance. And you, the Minister of Fishman Island, should seize this opportunity. After taking back the tarot cards for divination, Hawkins looked at the pirate in front of him coldly, and said some strange words to the right Minister of Kaiba. Get out of here. Facing Hawkins who blocked him, the pirate leader did not waste words, but swung several knives at Hawkins in succession. Ever. 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 Hawkins' body was cut by the sword energy, but not a drop of blood flowed out of his body. Several cut scarecrows crawled out of his body. Ah! A scream came from behind the pirate leader. He just turned around and found that several brothers who held hostages all fell to the ground, and a lot of blood gushed out. A mermaid who was afraid of blood was even frightened and fainted. This was not something the pirate leader noticed. He was surprised to find that the wound on his brother was exactly the same as the one he attacked Hawkins. The pirate who controlled the hostage fell down, and the nearby Sea King army rushed up and temporarily sheltered the hostage in a safe place. Only then did the right minister understand what Hawkins meant. I said, you will destroy yourself. Now you have a dead look on your face. Basil Hawkins, I haven't offended you, have I? The hostages were rescued, which means that the Sea King army has no scruples. Once they are dragged down by them, only death awaits them. No, but you can be a stepping stone to my success. If I kill you with my own hands, the success rate of my plan can be increased by another 7%. Hawkins fiddled with his cards again, but the pirate leader's anger had reached its peak. He swung his knife past Hawkins, and the blade directly cut Hawkins' neck. You've talked too much nonsense. Even if you're a supernova, so what? You haven't seen the power of domineering. At this time, the weapon in his hand was stained black by a layer of domineering. He thought it would hurt Hawkins, but the result was the same as before. A scarecrow with a chopped head fell out of Hawkins' body, and accordingly, the head of one of his subordinates was also chopped off. Haki can touch the entity of the ability user, but it cannot make the ability user disappear. Hawkins is the superhuman straw fruit ability user. He can fight through the straw spirits, and the straw spirits will transfer the damage to others through the voodoo dolls to offset the attack. His slash did hit Hawkins and caused damage, but the damage was transferred in the end. When Hawkins still has the scarecrow stored in his body, it is extremely difficult to kill him, unless the attack cannot transfer the damage. The wounded part can only be effective. I have never seen it before. I died again this time. Hawkins pulled out the weapon at his waist, but as the weapon was unsheathed, what was shown to everyone was not an ordinary blade, but twisted and growing straw. Rice handle straw knife. Holding the handle of the knife and stabbing forward, the twisted straw showed extraordinary hardness and directly pierced the body of the pirate in front of him. At the same time, the pirate in front of him also stabbed Hawkins' chest with a knife, but it still did not produce any effect, but there was another hole in his own heart. Hawkins' death substitution is that he uses the ability of the straw fruit to host himself in the body of other people. Preparation is required before the designation of the substitute. This method is not complicated, and only contact is enough. When he was watching the play before, he used the extended straw to complete the hostage, and when he was fighting just now, he directly hosted in the body of the opponent in front of him. He knows a little bit of the fur of the armed color, but it is still far from the ability to offset. The audience is here, your fate can end. At this time, Hawkins saw Quinn's figure from the corner of his eye, and he could kill the enemy in front of him with confidence. Chapter 1010, Hawkins Who Wants an Opportunity, The Arrival of the Big Mom Pirates. Hawkins decided on his goal, but there was a problem, he had no relationship with the beasts. The title of supernova was still strong in the first half, but in the New World, there were too many such people. With the reward of supernova, it was not difficult to simply join the other party, but that did not meet Hawkins' idea. If the beasts are compared to a company, they are no longer a grassroots team in the early days of entrepreneurship. There are many senior cotters, and even the second-generation cotters trained by themselves have grown up. Except for the first batch of old people from various seas, the young cotters almost all grew up inside the beasts, and the confidants trained by the beasts themselves. The difficulty for outsiders to enter the upper level can be said to have risen sharply compared to more than 20 years ago. If you want to get to a certain position, you must have something that the other party likes. If you have neither ability nor potential, you can only be an ordinary soldier. While Drake was still worrying about how to get the beasts to notice him, Hawkins had already found this opportunity. The face of the demon. Hawkins' body began to swell, gradually turning into a giant scarecrow with a hideous appearance, with 5 huge nails embedded between his fingers, waving at the pirates in front of him. Is this the trouble you are talking about? It looks like it has been solved. Quinn held a small folding fan in his hand and pretended to fan himself. Under normal circumstances, Quinn didn't need to come here, after all, he was also a guest of Fishman Island. Jinbei and Tiger were both capable of handling the things here, but this time the situation was special. Someone started trouble just after the beast's flag was hung up, and it would be embarrassing for the beasts not to show up. And Quinn volunteered to come here to ensure his own safety. Now Kaido has been drunk. Yamato can avoid risks around Arceus, but he can't avoid it. Who knows if Kaido will do a casual sword dance because of drinking and then pull him over to be a sparring partner. Although the mermaid lady danced beautifully, he might have gone up to dance with her under normal circumstances, but Kaido's excitement about the war at the top was not over yet, and he didn't know what would go wrong. It was more important to live comfortably. When Quinn arrived at the scene, he saw Hawkins, who had turned into a scarecrow, beating up the pirates. As a member of the worst generation, he was still quite capable, and his extremely strange abilities made many opponents helpless against him. However, facing Quinn, Hawkins' abilities might be played to death. Quinn could completely drain Hawkins' physical strength without hurting him, and then slowly deal with him when he was unable to use his fruit ability. Don't worry, Master Quinn is here. If he dares to violate our rules, I will let him know the price. Now let me see who dares to make trouble in our territory. Quinn pushed the Sea King army in front of him and walked over, comforting the frightened young mermaids along the way. Beautiful things are always pleasing to the eye, and the mermaid race has maxed out the talent of beauty. Except for some African catfish spirits, mermaids always attract the attention of most people. Appeared, Plague Quinn, a super monster with a bounty of 3.2 billion berries. Some of the bounties of the 4 emperors did not reach 3.2 billion berries, and Quinn even received this amount of bounty in 1520. Although Quinn's status in the upper echelons of the beasts is the floor, in the outside world, Quinn has already reached a height that ordinary people cannot reach. Dead, those guys are definitely dead. Need I say that? They can't even beat the magician Hawkins, but it seems that Nail Eyebrow is going to have good luck. If he can hang the flag of the beasts, he can walk sideways in the new world. Some humans next to him whispered, discussing what might happen next, and Quinn had already come to Hawkins. Hey, kid, did you do all this? Yes, they want to plunder the population here. Interesting, then kid, tell me, what do you want to do? You won't tell me that you want to be a hero on a whim, right? I want an opportunity to show myself more. Without any nonsense, Hawkins indirectly explained his purpose. Hawkins, born in the North Sea, bounty of 249 million berries. Taking out his intelligence book, Quinn quickly found Hawkins' information. He still paid attention to the outstanding newcomer. He is a smart one. Guys, take your people and follow us first, but it's not that easy to join us. It's impossible to get promoted overnight with this kind of thing. Hawkins just talked to the interviewer for 5 minutes downstairs of the company at most, and he was more familiar with the interviewer than others. Whether he can join or get promoted still needs a series of inspections. Hawkins himself had no objection to this arrangement, and then Quinn threw the pirates who violated the rules directly into the sea, leaving them to fend for themselves in the deep sea. When he was about to go back to attend the banquet, he saw a strange-looking dessert-like ship. Sparrow? Why are you here, you long-tongued man? Fatty, show some respect, do you know what you are saying? Well? Of course I know, but you are a weak chicken with a bounty of only 700 million Baileys, why are you so arrogant in front of me? Hey! Sparrow took a few deep breaths and calmed himself down. His relationship with Quinn was still quite bad. Although they were responsible for the business dealings of the pirate group, when they communicated, they could not avoid mutual ridicule. But the times have changed. His bounty is only 700 million, while Quinn has soared to 3.2 billion, which makes him more disadvantaged in verbal attacks. Looking at the pirate flag hanging at the entrance, Sparrow's expression became ugly. He did not come here for tourism, but to take Fishman Island as his own territory according to Charlotte Linland's order. She had been coveting the deserts of Fishman Island for a long time. In the past, she couldn't do anything because of Whitebeard's status. Now that she received the news of Whitebeard's death, she naturally took action. Sparrow had arrived quickly enough, but he didn't expect that the beasts would move faster. I'm here to buy desserts. Why are you here? Sparrow held back his temper and didn't say that he was here to grab territory. He saw the origin on the side. With Quinn's status, he was not qualified to take that ship. There must be more terrifying people in the beasts. That was not something he could provoke, and he was not qualified to make that decision for Charlotte Linland, so he changed his reason. Just listening to Sparrow's reason, Quinn showed a sinister smile on his face. Unfortunately, I have the final say on foreign trade here now. Chapter 1011, The Petty-Minded Quinn, a special test from the plague. As she grows older, Charlotte Linland's temper becomes more erratic, especially for Sparrow, the eldest son. He hasn't experienced what motherly love is for many years. That is only exclusive to his younger brothers and sisters. With Charlotte Linland's personality, even if her children do something wrong or fail to complete the tasks assigned by Charlotte Linland, they will still be severely punished. Fishman Island has already hung up the flag of the beasts, so even if Charlotte Linland herself comes here, it will be useless, so Sparrow changed his tone. Just bring back some desserts, let Charlotte Linland eat happily first, and then explain to her, at most she will be lectured. But if you go back empty-handed you don't know what punishment you will face. But seeing Quinn's sinister smile, Sparrow already had an ominous premonition. What do you mean? It's just what it says. I have a say in foreign trade here. This is the condition for the beasts to protect an island, and to control the island's foreign trade rights. The country of Wano is the most typical country. Since it has been built into the base camp of the beasts, the domestic economy is completely closed loop, and the beasts are the only way for the people to communicate with the outside world. And their methods are very clever, which has greatly improved the quality of life of the people, and this has also strengthened their own ruling foundation. Most of the islands that are completely ruled also follow this set of ways. These islands have vaguely formed a kingdom belonging to the beasts, and outsiders can't find any opportunities to intervene. The islands that only hang flags are not so strict, but the sale of things on the islands also requires the consent of the beasts. The beasts provide escort services and take their own commissions from it. When Whitebeard protected Fishman Island, he didn't ask for anything. He just lent the flag to Neptune because of personal relationships. This is certainly not an economic burden, but the protection provided by Whitebeard is also limited. Although the beasts collected profits, they bound themselves and the islands they sheltered into an economic community. Although it cost money, it was more reassuring. Sparrow was not interested in the beasts' system. After all, they also had their own management methods, but the problem was that Quinn's words were simply threatening him. So what do you want to buy? What did you call me just now? Handsome Quinn, can you let me buy some desserts from Fishman Island? Sparrow said the painful words with difficulty, and he even covered his chest when he finished saying this. Even if he was a vicious and cruel pirate, this sentence had violated his conscience. If he hadn't been worried about being punished by his mother, he would never have said this to Quinn. Well, you're quite honest. What about the snacks? No. Yeah, what did you say? I said no, the weather on Fishman Island is not very good recently, the workers are not in the mood to work, and the production of snacks is not high at all. It's enough for us to digest internally, so why would we have extra shares to sell to you? You said so, right, Left Minister? Quinn looked seriously at the Left Minister in charge of finances of Fishman Island, and the Left Minister also gave a positive answer. These people in front of him were all pirates, and Sparrow and the others were not familiar with them, so they would definitely speak for Quinn. Quinn! You bastard are playing tricks on me. Listening to Quinn's joking remarks, Sparrow's anger also rose. Yes, I was playing tricks on you. You destroyed my banana plantation, and I will never forget this. When did I destroy your banana plantation? 20 years ago, have you forgotten it? Sparrow recalled the incident after Quinn reminded him. How many years has it been? You've been picking on me for such a small matter. A small matter? You actually said it was a small matter. If you weren't the son of Charlotte Lingling, I would have killed you long ago. Touching Quinn's food is an irreconcilable hatred for Quinn. Although the incident has passed, Quinn has never turned the page. Your banana plantation was destroyed because that woman kicked you like a ball. Can you blame me for it all? If you hadn't caused trouble, would that woman have done it? And you were kicked like a ball, that was a combo. Do you know what a combo is? You uneducated, long-tongued freak. After hearing Quinn's retelling of the past, Sparrow also uncovered Quinn's past. To be honest, the Quinn bowling did cause some damage, but Quinn couldn't afford to offend Shayuna, and Sparrow's invasion was the root cause of the damage to the banana plantation. In this situation, Quinn naturally put all his negative emotions on Sparrow and began to show off his high education. We are all pirates, why are you pretending? I have also worked with Vegapunk, and I am a genius scientist who is not inferior to him. Don't you read newspapers? Using the black pot on him, Quinn made Sparrow speechless. Seeing that the plan could not be realized, Sparrow simply left here. Quinn was obviously against him. No matter how much he said, he would not compromise. It would be better to go back to Cake Island to be punished. As long as Charlotte Linlin didn't go crazy because of bulimia, she wouldn't make him so miserable because of this. At least he didn't plan to suffer this in front of Quinn. After solving all the pirates who tried to abduct mermaids, showing the majesty of the beasts in front of the remaining people, and driving Sparrow away, Quinn also ended this mission. Then he saw Hawkins fiddling with cards. What are you doing? I'm fortune-telling. The prediction results of the card show that I have a 95% chance of joining you. There is a 36.7% chance of becoming a formal member and a 50% chance of being promoted to a cotter. Divination? What's the use of this thing? Sir Quinn, fortune-telling is a very special thing, and I noticed something very special about you. Am I so special? Yes, because no matter how I fortune-tell, the probability that you will experience a bloody disaster is 100%, and this kind of thing is rare. The unpredictable Arceus can be called the master of fate, and Quinn is even more of a special case. The two probabilities of 0 and 100 rarely appear in Hawkins' fortune-telling. Even in a dead end, some people will have a 0.1% chance of survival. People like Quinn are destined to be unlucky, but they are very rare. This made Hawkins feel that his decision was the most correct choice. Listening to Hawkins' words, Quinn froze all over, and then suddenly figured out something. The meaning of the word blood disaster is very clear. Judging from the fact that Kaido is already drunk, it is not surprising that Quinn is unlucky. The appearance of Hawkins allows Quinn to see a new path. This kid may be used to predict danger. Boy, I suddenly feel that you are very talented. I can consider letting you follow me, but you have to understand that we are the Beast's pirates, and the Beast's pirates do not believe in fate. Even if fate tells you that the future is a dead end, you must take the road of resistance. Next, I, the Plague, one of the 3 disasters, will personally assign you an assessment task. The content of the assessment is very simple. Use your divination to find a way to save me from the blood disaster. Chapter 1012, Danger Warning Device, the end of the 4 Emperors era. If the status is judged only by the bounty, Quinn is obviously the 3rd in command of the Beast's pirates. Except for Arceus and Kaido, even Yamato, as the future successor of the Beasts, cannot be compared with his bounty, and other cotters are even more so. Even if some practical factors are taken into consideration, Quinn has a very high status in the Beasts, which makes him particularly valued, which is of great benefit to his future promotion. Hawkins in the original timeline spent 2 years in the New World, and was then fooled by Kid and App to form an alliance, wanting to defeat red-haired Shanks. As a result, App had already joined the Beasts as a traitor and led Kaido to the meeting place. Due to the gap in strength, Hawkins was forced to join the Beasts at that time. This time is different. He took the initiative to join the Beasts, and for this he also found his own stage to prove that he is different from those trash. The root of all this is that he is a charlatan himself. Divination accounts for a large part of his life. Since he discovered the unpredictable vortex of fate, he has already decided the direction of the future. He wants to contact the religious personnel of the Arceus cult, but Quinn is also a good choice, especially the special assessment he offers. If he follows Quinn, he will definitely be promoted to a cadre faster. Only there was something wrong with the conditions offered by Quinn. Your hexagram is very strange, as if it is destined, and you can't get rid of it at all. No matter how you calculate it, it can only be delayed, but you can't be exempted. Then Hawkins drew the card again in front of Quinn, and a card with a tower appeared on the top. Tower, the only card that has no good meaning in both upright and reversed positions. Master Quinn, your fate is very tortuous, or in other words, very stable. Hawkins has already called Master Quinn, but the result given did not make Quinn very satisfied. It doesn't matter, I will give you some preparation time, and you can prove your ability to me later. Now you just wait here, and when things are over, I will take you away together. Hawkins was not qualified to participate in the banquet, so Quinn just asked him to wait here, and Quinn himself returned to Ryugu City and reported what had just happened to Kaido and Arceus. The provocateur is nothing, but Big Mom's behavior is worth mentioning. As for Hawkins, Quinn plans to use time to verify his ability. It is good to avoid risks, but if you can't avoid them, it is also good to be prepared. Lord Arceus, I just met the people of the Big Mom Pirates. They also seem to have ideas about Fishman Island. After returning to the banquet hall, Quinn found Arceus to report what had just happened. Although Kaido did not do feats such as sword dancing, he was also drunk. At this time, he and Neptune were drinking together. If Arceus was not still here, the people of the beasts would probably have to take emergency shelter. But Kaido obviously couldn't listen to the information, and Quinn didn't want to cause a bloody disaster. How did you deal with it? We've driven him away. According to the old woman's character, she won't go to war with us. After all, we have occupied this place for a long time, and we are not competing with her for territory. But Perospero is going to be in trouble. Quinn didn't notice that when he was reporting the intelligence, Yamato was wandering around the banquet hall with a notebook, specifically asking for information from some high-ranking and senior fishermen or mermaids. After a grand banquet, the kingdom of Ryugu sent away the pirates of the beasts, and on the way back, the revenge from the eldest lady began. Uncle Quinn, I heard that the Ryugu kingdom had a secret treasure. What secret treasure? It's the thing called the murder medicine in the jade box. I heard that it can stimulate the potential of the human body, but it will cost a heavy price. Mander Fesh brought it back for you to study. But so many years have passed, and there seems to be no news. This I remember I should have studied it. That thing is of no value. It is purely exchanging life for a short burst of strength. It is too useless. In terms of practical value, it is not as good as the burst of the sword dance team. I should be able to find it by looking through the report records after returning to Onigashima. Really, Uncle Quinn, you are really dedicated. Yamato made a mark on the notebook, apparently to catch the handle of his past work, intending to use it to retaliate against Quinn's bad behavior of trying to die together in the war on the top. This action made Quinn's heart tighten. Although nothing happened, if Yamato really caught his braid, he might have to be taken to special training by Kaido. Miss Yamato, where did you hear about this? Aren't you not interested in this kind of thing? Well, it's a secret. I'm suddenly very interested in the past. A very special smile appeared on Yamato's face, which seemed extremely dangerous to Quinn. This smile reminded Quinn of the bloody disaster mentioned by Hawkins before, and he was determined to speed up Hawkins' review process and arrange a position for him as soon as possible. Strength is another matter, but this fortune-telling ability is of great help to him. Ordinary people have to check the weather forecast before going out. If Hawkins is really useful, he can also be used as a special office assistant. Then the people of the beasts began to return to Wano country, where there was a grand banquet waiting for them. The results of the war on the top also began to ferment gradually during this period. Through the efforts of the news bird, the whole world finally had a certain understanding of this. 4 years ago, Red Hair Shanks became one of the emperors of the sea. The 4 great pirates ruled the sea like emperors, and people called them the 4 emperors. Today, 4 years later, the oldest of the 4 emperors, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, ended his life. This also means the end of the 4 emperors era. And Whitebeard's last words were very simple: One Piece is real. World Economic News Agency, Flame Photographer. Morgans has a large number of daring reporters under his command, and flame photographer is one of them. He was the former director of the Navy's photography department. After being dismissed by the Navy, he joined the World Economic News Agency. When writing this article, he didn't think of the old feelings at all. And this is only part of the report. The series of changes surrounding the war on the top cannot be written clearly in a few articles. White Earth Land, Baldigo, the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army, Long is here to command the Revolutionary Army's actions in various places, and today, the Den Den Mushi of the Revolutionary Army headquarters rang again. Chapter 1013, ASL, The Injured Eldest Son, Idle Trainee, Fanatical Believer. Long, you should have seen the news in the newspaper. The world is about to usher in there will be a huge change that has never happened before. On a ship full of transsexuals who claim to be new humans, Yin Wonkov called the Revolutionary Army headquarters. He did have Long's private number, but it was easy to be eavesdropped. In order to prevent key information from being eavesdropped, he chose to call the headquarters Den Den Mushi with a white Den Den Mushi that was anti-eavesdropping. See, Whitebeard's death declaration will inevitably cause more pirates to flood into the sea, and this is also an opportunity for us to expand. No, Long, there are far more things happening in the war on the top. The Navy has not yet exposed it, but on the battlefield, my people saw Zephyr die. Zephyr chose this ending during the war. Sengoku did not immediately announce Zephyr's death, because Zephyr's position in the headquarters was very special. Today's 3 admirals and more than 90% of the elite vice-admirals, plus countless officers and officers are his disciples. If the news was exposed immediately, the order to cease fire might not be executed. Not only that, Dragon, tell me, what happened to Kuma over the years? Why did that gentle bear become like that? I'll tell you about this when you return to the headquarters, but the last attack of the war. I don't know what it was, but Dragon, you were not on the battlefield at that time. Those 2 attacks were simply not something that human power could resist. If the world government can frequently use such weapons, then our revolution will be a joke. Let's take a long-term view. At least we know this thing now. By the way, I forgot to say, congratulations on regaining your freedom. If you talk about this, Dragon, your son is really amazing. Really? When Yin Wonkov mentioned Luffy, Long's unchanging face also had a little more smile, but Yin Wonkov always gave people a lot of surprises. Yeah, except for being as brave as you, there's nothing like you in my body, haha. You didn't expect me to say that, did you? You must have been scared, right? Haha. Yin Wonkavia, come back soon, everyone has been waiting for you for a long time. At the same time, Sabo was also looking at the information in the newspaper while Long was talking to Yin Wonkov on the phone. Fire Fist Ace, Straw Hat Luffy ASL. Sabo felt his head hurting, but he couldn't remember what happened. Ace was not dead yet, which resulted in the information not being enough, and Sabo couldn't remember what happened immediately. In Cake Island, Charlotte Linlin was very unhappy because Perospero brought her bad news. Mom, it's all Quinn's fault. He's targeting us on purpose. Is that so? Yes, Mom, that guy deliberately refused to sell, I can't do anything about it. But why did Smoothie complete the deal with them just now? Yu said completed. Perospero, who hadn't returned to Cake Island yet, looked desperate. Quinn was playing a trick on him. First he rejected his deal, then he made deals with other brothers and sisters, thus labeling him incompetent in Charlotte Lingling's mind. Mom. Listen to me, this is all Quinn's conspiracy. Listening to the busy tone on the phone, Perospero wanted to cry but had no tears. He could already imagine what kind of character he would be scolded for after returning to Cake Island. To be precise, as long as Charlotte Lingling didn't do anything this time, it would be good. On Cake Island, Charlotte Lingling asked other questions. Katakuri, how is the territory issue going? We robbed a part of it, but we acted a little late. The beasts occupied most of the territory, and then they were blocked by red-haired Shanks. They were referring to the fight for Whitebeard's territory during the war on the top. The beasts took the lead, and Olga led her phantom army to make a feint and diverted Shank's attention. But the members of the Big Mom pirates were not so smooth. They were kindly dissuaded by Shanks who passed by, and did not achieve very good results. Kaido, this kid has grown up completely. The strongest in the world, Kaido of Beasts. The headline on the newspaper thrown on the ground by Charlotte Linlin was very eye-catching. In the minds of many people, Kaido is already the strongest in the world. Gurren Tajilo, the temporary office headquarters of the Beast's Fruit, in order to prevent uncontrollable factors after the war on the top. The core personnel who originally worked on the Red Earth continent have been transferred here. Due to Arceus' strategic deterrence and the desire for the immortality medicine, the Beast Fruit is still a regular enterprise at this time, but Teju Luo did not set foot on the Red Earth continent, just to prevent unnecessary trouble. Mr. Kaido is really strong, but Shanks is not bad either. Ah Xian, look, Luffy and Hiro are also in the newspaper. On the soft sofa, Yuta flipped through the newspaper in front of her, but her focus was completely different from others. War is really annoying. If there is no war, there will be no pirates. Do you want to listen to what you are saying? Whether it is the people behind this or your adoptive father, they are all pirates, and they are also big pirates at the top. It doesn't matter. Others don't know what we are thinking. Acting is a very tiring job. Our essence is just deception. Also, you are just a trainee. You haven't debuted yet, so you should respect your predecessors more. Next to Yuta is Cavendish, who has been practicing for a year and is preparing to debut. It's just that the top war is too popular. If he debuts now, he won't be able to attract the audience's attention at all, even if seniors like Yuta promote him. For the current Dahai, Cavendish's popularity is not as good as the mysterious medical department of the Beast Fruit. When it comes to this, Cavendish bites the newspaper in his hand indignantly. Damn, I also want this kind of reputation. Why can that Straw Hat Boy be so popular in such occasions? I don't accept it. Humph, Luffy is different from you. Work hard. Let's go, Asen. Let's go out and play. At Yuta's signal, her Heracross took her directly to the outside world, ignoring Cavendish who had red-eye disease. Concerned about the future, calculating interests, and jealous of popularity, different people have different views on this war, but on Ghost Island, a group of people have entered a frenzy. In the monastery, the scene of Arceus's attack was saved by the people on the Origin with Rotom and sent to Misu, and the appearance of the miracle also made all the believers enter a state of madness. Chapter 1014, Sect Fanatic Song and Magical Diary. Before the war on the top, Tizolo and Morgans had teamed up to establish an electronic information platform based on Rotom phones, but those traditional journalists could not accept this new model for a while, so the external Rotom electronic information had not yet developed. But it was different inside the beasts. The fully functional Rotom phones were distributed to the cotters earlier, and the people of the beasts had already gotten used to this convenient information tool, especially the group chat function inside. Most of the people on Arceus Origin were believers of the Arceus cult. Among these believers, some had a very special mission, which was to record the glorious moments of the Lord. Unlike the historians around the king, these people are the smartest people in the sect. Their only job is to spread Arceus' glory without making him unhappy. During this process, Shayana will also check, so there have been no accidents. Arceus is very low-key on weekdays. It can be said that he rarely took action during the war on the top. The power of that day's punishment has also become the most useful thing for the sect members in the process of preaching. That is a real miracle. For a new religion, there is no more effective means than a real miracle. The Lord is not going to judge the world, but to save it. This chaotic world has no bottom line. Only the glory of the Lord can drive away the darkness of 800 years. The bounty is the enemy's fear of the Lord. The Lord has not yet fully awakened. What we have to do is to contribute to the Lord's recovery of power and spread the Lord's gospel. Our efforts will definitely be rewarded in the future world. Under the statue of the monastery, Misu held the doctrine in one hand and pointed at the screen projected by Rotom with the other hand, and a neat response sounded below. In addition to the believers present, there are believers from other territories who use Rotom's remote communication, members of the Knights Templar who go out to preach, and the Punishment Knights who fight against the insulters of God. They can be called the most successful since the establishment of the cult of Arceus. If a new war is needed, these believers have the courage to go to the battlefield. Their strength may not be as good as that of the members of the Knights, but in terms of morale, they are not weaker than any army. With the support of faith, this team will not fear death at all. But don't forget, the Lord doesn't need to die meaninglessly. Outside, your own life is the most important. When you encounter an enemy, the most important thing you should do is to contact the members responsible for the battle, rather than going to die yourself. The members of the Arceus cult began their worship under the leadership of Misu, while other areas had a completely different look. In July, Setsuna's room, Miauna and Wolf sneaked in quietly. After finding that Setsuna had not returned, Miaona popped out a claw from her fingertips and tried to open the locked drawer. Is it not ready yet? It's almost done. It's open soon. Mom doesn't use a complicated lock. Don't watch here, go to the window to watch the wind. Miaona quickly found the key position, twisted her nails to the right, and successfully opened the drawer, and a row of neat diaries appeared in front of her. Setsuna has the habit of writing diaries, and she is the only one in the beasts who has kept those diaries intact. These diaries not only contain her past life, but also some major events that happened in the beasts. When the officers of the beasts forget something, it is always useful to ask Setsuna. As long as they remember the specific date, Setsuna can usually find what they need from the diary. This is no longer just an ordinary diary, but even the history of the development of the beasts. The reason why the two of them turned over the diary was because they received a request from Yamato. Please help me go to Quinn's laboratory to look at his work log and find evidence of his slacking off. When setting off for the war on the top, in order to facilitate domestic defense work, Quinn handed over all those powers to Ziraura. Yamato still remembered this, so he asked these two little guys to search for evidence of Quinn's crimes. It is not good to let adults do this. Although the two followed Ziraura into the office, there were too many documents in it, and they didn't know which one Yamato wanted, so they thought of Setsuna's diary. Because Setsuna has a habit when writing a diary, she will use labels to mark some things, such as Quinn dragged Ziraura to work overtime before her date, and she remembered this grudge. Through the diary, they can find the specific date, and then eliminate some things from Quinn's work log. They can roughly guess, did Quinn put some tasks on hold? The previous research on the murder drug was based on clues found in the diary by the brother and sister. Sometimes Setsuna would take them to read his diary and recall the past days, otherwise they would not know that Setsuna's diary was placed here. Yamato sent a message to the brother and sister not long ago, asking them to find out if there was any new evidence. Mom has so many diaries, more than textbooks. Yes, how did she write so many diaries? Before, Setsuna was just holding a diary and telling them stories. The two little guys never thought that their mother had written a drawer full of diaries. They didn't know that this was only part of the diary. But at this moment, Setsuna appeared behind them silently. What are you two doing? Mom. Miaona looked at Wolf, and the meaning in her eyes was very self-evident. Is this how you spread the news? Don't think about it. I was your age too. What you are using now are what I left over. It's wrong to peek at other people's diaries. You have to respect other people's privacy. If you want to know anything, just ask me directly. Setsuna didn't get angry. She just educated the two children with a correct attitude until the two began to reflect on their behavior and then asked about their purpose. Yamato asked us to find out if there is any evidence against Uncle Quinn. She said that Uncle Quinn cheated her in the war at the top, so she wants to get back at him. What? You should have told me about this earlier. Come on, Mom will help you find it. This behavior is at best a fight within the beasts. If the target of the fight is Quinn, then Setsuna will definitely not mind helping to settle the grudges of the past. Those things are in the past, but when she thinks about them again, she still feels very uncomfortable. When Quinn's future was in jeopardy, the pirates who heard that Whitebeard had died took action near the former Whitebeard's territory, but what was waiting for them was Jack, who had just arrived here. Chapter 1015, You should be thankful that this place is qualified to hang our flag. On the day when the war ended, the world government announced the results of the war, but the focus they mentioned was not Whitebeard's dying declaration, or the portrayal of the strength of a certain pirate, but the fact that Whitebeard was dead. The death of Whitebeard means the end of a legendary pirate, indicating that there will no longer be a monster named Whitebeard on the sea. People with a little knowledge know what the death of Whitebeard will lead to, but ordinary people are different. They will only celebrate this victory belonging to the Navy. The truth of the message was gradually reduced during the transmission, and in the end, the message people received was completely different from the actual situation of the war. The Navy won and Whitebeard died. This is the only cognition of most people. As for the episodes in the war, such as the large number of prisoners who escaped from the Impel Downs, the departure of the Whitebeard remnants, and the large number of casualties in the Navy, these news were gradually forgotten under the instigation of the world government. Pirates, after all, are also a group of people who make a living by plundering. There are only a handful of pirates who can reach the position of the Emperor of the Sea and establish their own maritime empire. And these guys who do not produce and only know how to rob are also the objects of disgust for the people. Even if Whitebeard protected a large number of islands with his own power, in the eyes of others, he is no different from those pirates who only know how to rob. Great! Whitebeard is finally dead. Now the sea can be restored to peace. Let's have a banquet, I'll pay for today's wine. They were excited about the war results they received, and spent a beautiful day in their hearts in a way of celebrating the festival, playing and imagining the future, but this joy lasted for a very short time. Ordinary people saw the death of Whitebeard, but those who were already ambitious were paying attention to the mysterious treasure. The great secret treasure that Whitebeard confirmed personally made countless pirates crazy. In order to snatch the great secret treasure, more people chose to go to sea, and the first to bear the brunt were the people who were celebrating just now. The war on the top drew elite navies from all over the world, including a few capable generals in the Four Seas Navy. Before these generals returned to their bases, the deterrent power of the navy plummeted. Faced with countless new pirates, the navy could only attack frequently to strike these newly emerged pirates. The dispatch rooms of local branches almost entered a state of continuous rotation. Just after dealing with a group of pirates, new alarms reached their ears. The waters of the Four Seas were too busy because of these newly emerged pirates, not to mention the New World. The territory of the Whitebeard pirates had already fallen into chaos. In the territory of the New World, Whitebeard originally occupied a large part, but in order to rescue Ace, the Whitebeard pirates can be said to have dispatched all members. All 16 squads of the main team went out without reservation, and all the affiliated pirate groups were dispatched, leaving very few people to guard. This led to the fact that when Jack and Olga were fighting for territory, it was not the enemy's strength that limited them, but the distance. Many islands in the New World have become accustomed to living under the protection of the pirate flag, so Jack and Olga's work is very simple. Find an island, defeat the administrator of the island, plant your own flag, and then leave a few people to garrison and go to the next place. The issue of island management will be arranged later, and their task is to grab land, first conquer the territory. As for how to manage the island, someone else will handle it later. It's okay to let Jack conquer the territory, but it's really embarrassing for him to manage new islands. Even if the cotters of the beasts began to divide their troops after entering Whitebeard's territory, the large number of islands also restricted their steps. Even if the war on the top is over, their mission is not over. Brother Jack. Governor Kaido has sent a new order, asking you to return to Onigashima to hold a banquet after completing your mission. I know, Brother Kaido is indeed the strongest. Sip's head, Jinrami, you two are responsible for the islands here, I will occupy the nearby islands, and then complete our mission. Yes. The beasts occupied a lot of the territories that originally belonged to Whitebeard. According to the battle situation reported by Olga not long ago, the newly occupied territories are now close to the limit of the beasts' handling. For them, it is not difficult to conquer this territory, and it is not difficult to just hang up the flag and collect protection fees, but it takes a lot of energy and manpower to manage this island well, and handling the limit also refers to this aspect. With the new order, Jack also plans to return after occupying the nearby islands, leaving only a few people to garrison, and Jack's steel mammoth continues to sail to the sea ahead. And here, the flag belonging to Whitebeard has been collected by the residents of the island. Whitebeard is very popular in his territory, and most people are very grateful for the protection brought by his flag. Even though Whitebeard is dead, this situation has not changed immediately. The pirates of the beasts did not insult the flag, and even Kaido recognized Whitebeard's strength, so they naturally would not do such meaningless things. It's just that from the eyes of some residents on the island, Sip's head can see an unwilling expression. When Jack and his team first arrived on the island, these people also resisted, but they were easily defeated. Don't be unconvinced. In a few days, you will be glad that our flag is hung here. Do you think you can defend this island with your mediocre skills? This is the New World. Without us, there will be other pirates. If it were another pirate group, their methods would not be as gentle as ours. Sip's head fiddled with a piece of ore in his hand, which was one of the reasons why they occupied this island. Islands without sufficient interest value are not in the priority occupation sequence of the beasts, unless the geographical location of the island is very critical, and not occupying it may cause other territories to become enclaves. You give us resources, we protect your safety, everything is the same as before, and you can even live better. Time will prove all this, or you can try to see if you can beat us. While crushing the ore in his hand with one hand and drawing a pie for the residents in front of him, Sip's head also demonstrated his military power again. In fact, what he said was not wrong. The islands in the New World that have no self-protection ability usually end up badly, such as Jack's destination. Due to the location, he arrived at the island a few days later. When he landed, the originally peaceful island had already become dilapidated, the houses were set on fire, and the sound of crying spread outward in the sea of fire. Chapter 1016, The Only Winner. Brother Jack, it seems that someone got there first. I saw it. The firelight reflected in Jack's eyes, which made him feel not very good. He did not sympathize with the residents of the island. That was not his character. He was unhappy just because the island was destroyed like this. This resulted in him not being able to perfectly complete the occupation mission assigned to him by Kaido. What he wanted was a complete island, not a broken ruin. Fishman karate gun wave. Jack's actions were also very direct. They were all pirates, and there was no morality at this time. Grabbing the seawater on the beach, Jack directly destroyed the opponent's pirate ship with a fishman karate, and then led his subordinates to the interior of the island. Inside the island, adults holding weapons struggled to resist the pirates in front of them. Above them was a pirate flag belonging to Whitebeard, but this flag could no longer provide them with any protection. You should have received the news. This is no longer Whitebeard's territory. You should know this truth, right? This sign is no longer useful. After cutting off the flagpole on which the flag was hung, the pirate stepped on Whitebeard's pirate flag with his feet, and his words were full of disdain. From today on, this island is my territory. Who do you think you are? How dare you say such a thing? Before the pirate finished speaking, Jack's low voice came from behind. Who is it? This Uncle Isbut. He arrogantly wanted to say his name, but in the end, he swallowed the words back. A huge bronze elephant appeared in front of the pirate. Facing an opponent who was far less powerful than himself, Jack still loved the beast form. Even without haki, ordinary people can't hurt him with his metal body, and Jack's appearance is also familiar in the New World. Jack, the Iron Mammoth, has a bounty of 1.088 billion Baileys. He is the most eye-catching cotter in the new era of the beasts. Whether it is the degree of bellicosity or the frequency of fighting, he is second to none among the cotters of the new generation of beasts. In recent years, he has even been called the fourth disaster. Kaido's activities in the war on the top not only brought an increase in his own bounty, but also the entire beast pirate group was affected by Kaido and Arceus, and the bounty has increased to a certain extent. Quinn's bounty has to deduct the bonus of the pot, but Jack's bounty now does not have the bonus of ivory, but the real combat power. Why don't you say it? Aye. At this time, a frost fairy came out of Jack's braids, looked at the pirate in front of him, and patted Jack's head with both hands, implying that he didn't remember this person. In a sense, Jack's brain capacity is limited. He only remembers those famous pirates on the sea. Apart from that, he can't recognize the other party's identity at all. Frost Fairy is slightly stronger than him. As long as the bounty is over 100 million, it will have some impression. Even it doesn't remember, which means that the pirate in front of it is just one of the many small fish. Boom. After that, looking at the enemy who was scared to the point of tongue-tied, Jack swung his elephant trunk neatly and hit him directly into the rock wall beside him. Kill them all. From now on, this island is the territory of the beasts. In an instant, the situation on the island reversed. The pirates who were originally violent now encountered stronger pirates. The war of the beasts is about to end, which means that the opportunity to accumulate merits has become less. Jack's subordinates are warlike. In order to accumulate more merits in this final battle, they rushed up when Jack just gave the order. Whitebeard is dead, and all kinds of cats and dogs have jumped out. Looking at the pirates who were defeated by his subordinates, Jack had no desire to fight at all. After all, they were too weak. Taking advantage of this time, he has come to the island residence. Hang our flag here, you should have no objection. Although it is a question, Jack did not give them the right to veto, and this is just a process. No matter what the answer is, it will not affect Jack's next move, but only the future management of the island. And looking at the burning island, the person in charge on the island did not refuse this matter. Similar situations not only happened here, but also occurred in the territories that originally belonged to Whitebeard. The islands that had already hung the flags of beasts or Big Mom were not affected. Whitebeard was dead, but Kaido and Charlotte Linlin were still alive and well. Their flags had the same or even stronger deterrent power. Although Charlotte Linlin had excessive demands for food, under this premise, she could still guarantee the quality of life of the residents under her rule, not to mention beasts. The team responsible for governance was already on the way. As for those islands that were not occupied, they became the most unlucky group of people after losing their shelter. After settling the island and hanging the flag of beasts on the island, Jack led his subordinates to suppress the pirates who were interested in making trouble nearby, and then led his team to start the return journey. Olga's actions were similar to Jack's. The biggest difference was the different fighting methods. Jack's opponent was defeated head-on after seeing Jack's face, while Olga saw only the pirate flag when the enemy died. The tail blade and sniper of the invisible Thousand Faces escape, and the internal strife caused by the illusion made them have no idea who the enemy is. Not to mention the Navy and Whitebeard who had already suffered huge losses, and Blackbeard who was wiped out. Both Big Mom and Red Hair had some unsatisfactory aspects in this war, only the beasts did not suffer any losses. Kaido had a good fight and his territory was expanded. Arceus found the icicle slab, and the cult of Arceus had one more miracle, and also enriched their doctrine. At most, Quinn had half a pot, but he had already been in debt. Onigashima also prepared a similar banquet, but this was only for the beasts, and it was not so smooth for others. For example, Moria, relying on Absalom's ability, he successfully escaped from Marineford, but the remaining spirit was also beaten to nothing by Kaido. Kaido proved with facts that whether it was his zombie army or his current strength, it was a joke to face Kaido. This caused Moria to become a complete loser, and he began to waste his time. Even the source of living expenses was obtained by Abraham using the ability of the transparent fruit to find gossip. The remnants of the Whitebeard pirates also began to return to the New World after coding. Just looking at the new flag on Fishman Island, the Whitebeard pirates felt quite complicated. Chapter 1017, Sadness and Joy, the same world, different lives. Dad's flag is gone. At the entrance of Fishman Island, the new flag stood on the flagpole. The deterrent power of the beasts made the pirates who arrived at Fishman Island dare not have other crooked thoughts. They either passed through honestly or became ghosts on the seabed. But for the Whitebeard pirates, this gap is still very large. A few days ago, when they passed through Fishman Island to Marineford, the flag here was still their flag, but now everything has changed. The Whitebeard pirates are the same. After all, they are pirates who gathered together because of Whitebeard. The composition of the Whitebeard pirates is not like the original Rocks pirates or the short-lived Blackbeard pirates, which have no moral integrity, but their composition is also mixed. After Whitebeard's death, the pirates of this team did not disband, and maintained their original status under the leadership of various captains. But the affiliated pirate groups are different. Some captains died in the war at the top, and the remaining ones have their own thoughts. Some choose to continue to fly the Whitebeard flag. The flag was changed, and some people regained their independence. Unless someone can carry the banner left by Whitebeard, the Whitebeard pirates will be in name only. Today, they are still a powerful force in the New World, but they have withdrawn from the first echelon. It was expected by Marco that Fishman Island would change its flag. He also knew that Fishman Island had a certain connection with the beasts, but the speed of changing the flag was so fast that it was beyond his expectation. Marco, this is also unavoidable. Fishman Island must survive. I hope you can understand our approach. And to be honest, Newgate's last words caused us a lot of trouble. It was still Neptune who received them. The king was still very busy during this period. The help that Whitebeard brought to them was real. Even if the banner of the beasts was hung now, Neptune was not so ruthless and still warmly received Marco and others. After Whitebeard's death, Marco has become the acting captain of the Whitebeard pirates. For the Whitebeard pirates, their captain will always be the only one. Whether now or in the future, the captain position of the Whitebeard pirates will probably be vacant. If Whitebeard is still alive, his designated successor is likely to be Ace, but the current Ace is unlikely to take over this position. Neither he nor the other crew members can accept this for the time being. Listening to Neptune's explanation, Marco sighed, knowing that he had no reason to say anything. I know, but the future Fishman Island should not need us. Neptune did not reply, but everyone understood that Fishman Island, which was protected by the beasts, no longer needed the remnants of Whitebeard, and the remnants of Whitebeard were not able to protect Fishman Island. Then we won't stay any longer, King Neptune, we are going back to Dad's territory. The territory was occupied by other pirates, which was within the expectations of Marco and others. It was not surprising that the beasts and Jihans were not surprising. Now they were unable to offend them with the combat power of the four emperors. Now they no longer need as many territories as before, so the Whitebeard pirates' target is Whitebeard's hometown, Sphinx Island. This poor island can't take out the gold from heaven, so it naturally has no qualifications to become a member country. As time goes by, it has become a lawless country. Although Whitebeard went to sea and became a pirate when he was a child, he always missed the land where he was born and transported supplies here from time to time. Even if he has no friends and family on this island, Whitebeard still has a special feeling for his hometown. What Whitebeard has always guarded is also what Marco and others want to guard, but they don't want to give this island to anyone. Sphinx Island is far away from G territory. The only risk is the beast, but the beast gave up this island. This is also what Kaido and Arceus meant. Sphinx Island is too poor, has a bad geographical location, and has no unique advantages. There is no benefit in occupying it. In this case, they directly left it to the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates. It is much better to let these people have a fixed territory than for them to run around the world. After that, Shanks arrived at the island and participated in Whitebeard's funeral. As for the future of the Whitebeard pirates, that was not a question he wanted to think about. The Whitebeard pirates also acted rationally. They picked the weak ones. They couldn't afford to offend the beasts and G. They could still deal with the pirates who took advantage of the chaos. Putting the grief in their hearts, they began to numb themselves with new battles. On the other hand, in the territory of the beasts pirates, most of the residents of the islands were full of joy. The relationship in the pirate world was generally deformed. In this case, the Somala pirate bank system of the beasts was also retained. Many people received investment dividends when the beasts won. As for those sad people, there will be deaths in war, even if they are the attacking party, they cannot avoid this situation. Although they will pay pensions, their relatives and friends will still feel sad, but there are not many such people. Most of the pirates are alone. There are fewer people like Mander Fesh who are full of thoughts of promotion and retirement. Drake is the norm for hedonists. On weekdays, the brothers would feel sad for them for a while, but they would soon join the banquet to celebrate their victory. As the leaders of the beasts pirates, Kaido and Arceus have not returned to Wano country. Without special circumstances, Arceus will not speed up the sailing speed, but will only let the origin sail at the normal speed. Kaido couldn't stand the loneliness and rode the eight-headed dragon to find someone to fight, or to be more precise, to bully the weak. He also heard the news that the sea was no longer calm, and planned to teach those ignorant little ghosts a lesson. But before leaving, he stated the date of the banquet and said that he would return to Onigashima as scheduled. During the voyage of the origin, some lifeboats would be seen from time to time, and the warm-hearted Yamato would often help them. At first, those people were grateful, but when they saw the pirate flag on her, the expressions on their faces were replaced by fear. Godfather, I don't understand why these people think that the sea will be stable if Whitebeard dies. This is what she heard from the people on the ship in distress. Whitebeard is dead, why is the sea still not peaceful? Even she couldn't understand this statement. Yes, even you understand the truth, but most people still don't understand it. Or, it's not that they don't know, but more people don't want to believe it. Isn't it? Wait, Godfather, you are not praising me, are you? Chapter 1018, External Brain is also a tradition, special interview with pirates. Not bad, there is progress, I can already understand the meaning of the words, you are still growing. No, Godfather, I don't want to hear this kind of praise at all, or it's not a compliment at all. It doesn't matter what it is, Yamato, I'm not worried about your strength, after all, there are not many people who can threaten you. But your personality is too easy to be fooled, who knows when you will be sold and help him count the money. You are not the type who is not smart, didn't you have a lot of tricks when facing Kaido? It would be good if you can turn that state into normal. Listening to Arceus' words, Yamato thought of the picture and then shook his head. Forget it, foster father. I was forced to fight with that old man. Besides, I think I'm pretty smart. It's not easy to fool me. It better be true. But foster father, I know that ordinary people don't believe in pirates, but these people in the New World should have some understanding of Whitebeard's character, right? People have never longed for the truth. When faced with evidence that doesn't suit their taste, they will walk away. If fallacies are tempting to them, they are more willing to worship fallacies. Pirates are pirates after all. It's impossible to make everyone believe. But the people of Wano country believe in us very much. Even those stubborn samurai have changed now. What else? These years of hard work have not been in vain, but if you want everyone in the whole sea to think this way, it will be a long way to go. After explaining a few words, Arceus left Yamato, leaving her time to think alone. The logic of complexity appeared in Yamato's mind again, and she also adhered to her usual style in the past. Since it was too troublesome, she simply didn't think about it for now, and she would discuss it slowly with others when she had time. Looking around, she suddenly found that there was one less person on the ship. Why is Uncle Quinn missing again? Was he dragged away by his father for training? Sir, if you are looking for Lord Quinn, he is on the ship behind. The members on the ship pointed to the pirate ship behind. Strictly speaking, it was not the ship of the beasts, but the pirate ship belonging to Hawkins. He had not yet completely joined the beasts, but was brought by Quinn, who planned to throw him to the island in the territory first, and this period of time was also the time for Quinn to use Hawkins for divination. Hawkins, Brother Kaido has left. Now tell me, has the result of the divination changed? No, the probability of your bloody disaster is still 100%, but the time of occurrence has been greatly delayed. Hawkins has never seen such a precise fate. No matter how many twists and turns there are in the process, it has not been able to change the final result of the divination. In a sense, this is also a miracle. I doubt your ability now. But you have seen that except for the things related to the person on the ship, my divination success rate is very high for other things. When it comes to divination, Hawkins did not give in, which also broke Quinn's fluke mentality and had to face reality again. After Brother Kaido left, this thing was delayed, so the root cause should still be Brother Kaido. But Miss Yamato should be the first to suffer. Quinn kept stroking his beard, thinking about what would happen to him. At this time, a Dragonite landed on the Origin, carrying today's newspaper. Thank you, you've worked hard today. Yamato greeted Dragonite in a familiar manner. This was not Dragonite's mission, but when Dragonite appeared with a newspaper, it meant that they had arrived at their territory. Let me see the latest news. A new member of the 7 warlords of the sea, Senryo Baki? I remember he was very weak. Can he be a 7 warlords of the sea? The world government's actions are also gradually unfolding, such as starting to supplement the members of the 7 warlords of the sea. Baki's own ability is not very good, but he has become an idol in the hearts of the prison escapees in Impel Down, and a bunch of dangerous people have gathered around him, so the world government wants to use this power to recruit Buggy. In order to be able to search for treasure legally, Buggy did not refuse the invitation letter from the world government, and thus became a member of the 7 warlords of the sea. The world government also made some efforts for Buggy, such as a series of titles such as the former crew member of One Piece and the brother of Red Hair Shanks. The purpose of this is just to calm down the newly emerged pirates by praising Buggy, and let them know that there are powerful enemies on their way that they cannot contend with. Sister Olga will be happy to see this. After all, her record will become more luxurious. As Buggy's combat power is updated, Olga's record is also updated, becoming a super monster that the 7 warlords of the sea and the Sea Emperor cannot defeat together. It seems that there is nothing interesting. Yamato then flipped back. There was a lot less news about the top war. In the past few days, Morgans who should and shouldn't be reported have been made into newspapers, so there are basically no headlines left. The only things that can be published in the newspaper are the sacrifice of a certain navy, the overcrowding of a certain prison, the attack of a certain island by pirates, etc. But as the newspaper continued to flip back, Yamato saw a more outrageous article. Pirate interview. Morgan's S is really getting bolder and bolder. Monkey D. Luffy, an interview with the pirate Supernova. Several large words occupied the subpage of the newspaper, and the content below was extremely outrageous. One of the participants in the war at the top revealed the details of the war. The view of the evil bloodline on his father. It seems to be some nonsense, but in fact, this is the plan that Hiro arranged for Luffy. Luffy wanted to inform his friends to postpone the assembly time, but he didn't have the ability to inform everyone, so Hiro helped him come up with an idea. The Straw Hat Pirates were slapped to various places by the bear. If they want to see the contact, they need a world-class intelligence network, and Morgan's newspaper is an example. This is a rare thing that has been sold to every corner of the world. As long as some big noise is published in the newspaper, the goal can be achieved. But in terms of how to attract attention, Hiro thought of a more direct way. It didn't let Luffy do anything outrageous, but directly contacted the reporter of the World Economic News Agency. When Morgans heard Luffy's self-introduction and the details of the war on the top, he agreed to the interview without hesitation, which indirectly helped Luffy achieve the purpose of conveying information.